Hey, Antoine. Hey, Jamel. You are indeed first. Hey, Rose. Hey, Alexander. Did that guy ever send you money for Dancoin? No, he didn't. Hey, Grammar. Come here before I start my stream every day. Just want to say thank you for what you do. Oh, thank you so much. What do you stream? Hey, politics. What does your shirt say? It says Hero of Hope. I think I got it for blood donation during Breast Cancer Awareness Month. By the pink. Uh, I wish it wasn't like so worn out, but it's like I think it's the only shirt I have right now that fits that matches my shorts. Be giving out shirts for donating blood. Antoine, you get a shirt. You get usually like a $10 to $20 gift card, depending on I guess how badly they need blood. You'll obviously get free snacks afterwards to refill your electrolytes or whatever, and juice and whatnot. And then sometimes they even have like a gift, like this blanket that Mac uses. He puts it in her lap when one of the cats wants to jump up. Is from One Blood. Hey Scott, all kind of game stuff my chat can play with me. You know? Oh, nice. Do you stream on Twitch? Bro, I gotta go get blood. I mean, listen, I'm not gonna judge you if the reason you go is because of the swag. I get it. Um, that wasn't the reason I first started doing it, but I'd be lying to you if I wasn't in a Publix parking lot where they said Publix $20 gift card, and I was like, all right, take some blood. Because hey, in this economy, hey Prince, I'm not sure I already said hi or not. I think, yeah, I think we're just gonna go with this caption. I'm also thinking of, why do you still support Trump? I don't know if scammed would be bad for the TikTok algo. I'm not sure. Let me see what other captions I have already made. Ooh, actually, hold on. I think I have one I like more, especially right now. Now we're talking. I want to make sure that we don't normalize pinning all of the evil on Trump, because basically the entire Republican Party is complicit at this point. So when Trump is no longer amongst us, I don't want things to go back to business as usual. There needs to be a there needs to be a there needs to be some justice. The administration is so evil. Yeah, yeah. No, someone said mag off rev. That's fine. If Trump's so dangerous, why is the left so terrified of letting people hear what he has to say? What do you mean letting people hear what he has to say? Bro, we haven't heard him shut the fuck up in 10 years. What more does he need to say? We heard him. We hear him loud and clear.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem announcing her plans to eliminate the Federal Emergency Management Agency on Monday.
Towers.
This is raising questions about the future of disaster response in the U.S. The announcement aligns with President Donald Trump's long-standing criticism of FEMA. In January, while touring hurricane damage in North Carolina, Trump suggested getting rid of the agency, arguing that...
Amazing how Trump living rent-free in their heads is somehow my problem. I genuinely don't know where your brain made that sentence from. Where did that come from? What are you saying? People being upset about Trump is not your problem. Trump is your problem. I imagine you're not in the top 1%, so Trump is your problem, whether you know that yet or not. The media, big tech, and the FBI. Bro. So... Big tech is on his side. The FBI is on his side. Where are you getting this? Get off Truth Social for a second and look out into the real world. The head of the FBI wrote a children's book about how Donald Trump is the best. Look at the inauguration. All the big tech CEOs lined up for his coronation. The left says they want unity, but all I see is nonstop attacks on whoever disagrees with them. I'm sorry. I'm not going to find unity with the people setting up concentration camps, all right? The people that are thinking about doing a reality show for undocumented immigrants, the people that post videos for mass deportation ASMR, no, I'm not going to find unity with those people, okay? Is USA an underdeveloped nation? It's starting to feel like it. We really have MAGA and Twitch, GG.
I assume you will agree with me. I assume you will agree with me that withholding disaster relief by President Trump or any other chief executive of the United States is a violation of his duty and of law.
Well, Senator, leadership has consequences. And looking at the tragedy that's happening in California,
I want to ask you yes or no, with all due respect. It's an easy...
What's happening in California is the ramification of many decisions over many years. But under my leadership at the Department of Homeland Security, there will be no political bias to how disaster relief is delivered to the American people. So if
President Trump were to say to you, we're going to withhold money from Connecticut or Michigan or
disaster relief should be readily available across the United States, regardless of where you live. Natural disasters happen everywhere. They should not be concerned about the federal government turning their back on them when they need the help the most. We need to give constituents what they need when they're facing tragedy, that they will not be stranded due to political discord. My ask of you is, what is your plan with regard to FEMA? Are you planning to eliminate FEMA? Your testimony references that you want to, quote, eliminate dysfunction of the current agency. I'm unclear. I don't know if my colleagues are clear on what you mean by dysfunction. And I'm concerned that you're causing more dysfunction within the workforce that should be preparing itself for the pending hurricane season.
Well, thank you for your question and the discussion on this topic today. President Trump has been very clear since the beginning that he believes that FEMA and its response in circumstances has failed the American people, and that FEMA as it exists today should be eliminated and empowering states to respond to disasters with federal government
if you'll just,
support.
With all due respect, where is the evidence of the failure of FEMA. I don't know about everybody else on this. My state, Connecticut, was hit very, very hard with Superstorm Sandy. Every community in some way or another has been hit by that. And the FEMA on the ground, people come in, work with the families, deal with getting the funding out. Where is the evidence of the failure of FEMA?
Congresswoman, we still have claims open from Hurricane Katrina. We have fire claims that are still unpaid to people who said they were due them 7 to 8 to 10 years old. They have never been paid by FEMA. So one of the worst things that the federal government can do is to stand up in front of the American public and say, we will be there, we will walk alongside you in the most horrible time of your life, and then never follow through on it.
Well, that's
what the president has said is he's sick and tired of federal agencies that pick and choose who wins and who loses. He wants to make sure that the federal government's commitment, when it makes a commitment, that it follows through. So he's going to empower states.
The federal government is abdicating its commitment to the American people who find themselves.
Certainly under Joe Biden's administration.
Let me just say this to you. The Office of Professional Responsibility. The Office of Professional, because I knew you were going to go there. As you know, FEMA's Office of Professional Responsibility, under the Biden administration, there was no evidence, no direction or agency or field leadership to discriminate against disaster victims based on political affiliation, which was a charge.
I'll follow up with you.
Well, and I will follow up. I will follow up, and I'll follow up with my colleagues, quite frankly, and to really listen to people whose states, communities have been devastated, and what role FEMA has played. I don't know how many millions and millions of dollars went out in Louisiana. Actually, I've asked my staff to calculate that when Katrina hit. And the response was overwhelming. And the response has been overwhelming. If you want to make corrections, that's fine. We all agree with that.
Yeah, we can point to thousands and thousands of
if you wouldn't mind getting this committee, the information and the evidence where you talk about the dysfunction of the agency and where it has really failed. That would be important to those of us who are appropriating dollars. And it would appear that the administration overall has a way in which they're looking at dismantling the federal government. The states will never have the amount of money because the federal government isn't going to pass that money to the states to be able to deal with what happens. It comes in and be able to give a hand to do that. And I think it's very clear from what you said that both yourself and the president really want to dismantle the federal government and the agencies that have provided service to the American people for decades.
Did we figure out if the United person is trolling or not? Yes. Unworn Games is 100% trolling. Goddamn leftist hippie. Is your wife blue hair? I'm not married. Biden pardoned his disgrace of a son at his last chance possible. Donald Trump pardoned people that assaulted police officers. How do you feel about that? Back to blue? Or hey, Neely. Hey, everyone. Okay. We're gonna get started shortly. Need to edit a video real quick. Wait, Fletch, why did I'm just curious why they got banned. I'm not saying that they didn't deserve to get banned. But just being MAGA is not a bannable offense. So I'm just curious. Oh, it's probably not ban worthy. Yeah, we can't ban all maggots. Then we'll run out of. Well, I mean, if we could ban them from the United States, then maybe that'd be worth it. All yours, babe. There sure are. The dishwasher is clean, yeah. Nice. Who banned me? It was an administrative error. Like when the Trump administration said that deporting Ilmar Garcia was an administrative error, but then walked it back because they didn't want to bring him back, despite the fact that it 9-0 Supreme Court order ruled that he facilitate the return. Kind of like that. Don't tell people to calm down. That's cringe. It's cringe because being on your phone the entire stream. The stream doesn't start until 8 p.m. Eastern. This is the pre-show. So hey Starving, hey Mariah. All right. All right, y'all. We're starting the live on TikTok. Hey Cam. So who's going back and forth in the comments on Twitch? I don't know. The Twitch comment section is there's some fire and fury in there. Are you doing debates tonight? Yes, we are doing debates. Yeah, KP got in here instantly. Hey Lynn, hey KP, and somehow didn't get the first comment. Hey Brendo. Howdy ho. Hey Neely. Hey Starscream. Let me get rid of the pre-show thing on YouTube. Y'all, I have some news. So not only are we going to be doing debates today, okay? Not only are we going to be doing debates today, we are going to have a special guest. Hey Ice Cold. Hey Skylar. Hey Alexa. Skylar says hi. Hey Chris. Y'all, I don't know who set the goal to 1 rose, but thank you, Alexa. Hey Starscream. Hey Brian. Hey Kai. LOL, I figured it was a mistake and needed to be reset. yeah, sorry about that. Thank you. I appreciate it. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. So tonight we are going to be doing debates after what feels like forever. And we are also going to have a special guest coming up for a collaboration, they call them. Collab for short, what the kids say. And hey, James. Hey, Sim. So this This gentleman has been streaming politics on Twitch since 2018. It's actually one of the first political streamer I ever saw on
Thanks,
TikTok.
Obama.
Well, Skylar, thank you for the sub. First political creator I ever saw on TikTok was Parker. I think it was Parker, and then immediately after was Diana Michelle. Interestingly enough, those were my first two that I saw on TikTok. But prior to TikTok, this is somebody that I would catch every once in a while. Super sharp guy. I don't know that I've ever heard him say something non-based. Mine is Harry Sisson. Oof, Dark Lord. Hey, Cross Stitcher. And so I am super excited to bring him up shortly. I may or may not have mentioned him before. I've definitely called out his live before. Thank you, everybody, for the heart me's. I really appreciate it. The other one. Shouted out, not called out. Shouted out his live. Big difference. But without further ado, you know what's wild? It's all of this hype, and we might not get any mag in the box, and we're just gonna be like staring at each other. But anyway, so without further ado, I'm gonna bring up. Oh, and the request is gone. But yeah, he's been streaming politics on Twitch since 2018. I think probably this year got on TikTok, and I think he's really cool. I've watched a few of his lives, and I think he will be a great addition to tonight's live. Also, fun fact: this gentleman was the white guy in "Pretty Fly for a White Guy" music video. So we're among Hollywood royalty, if you want to think about it. Hey, buddy.
Yo. Hold on, I'll try to turn on my camera. Okay. Sorry, I plugged in my good mic, but it was like making a high-pitched noise, so hopefully this is okay.
It sounds good so far. Chat if there's any disagreements on his mic quality, but it sounds good. What's the jersey?
Dope. Thanks for letting me up here, Dan. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I'm hoping we can get some good debates today. I've been kind of off the debates for a while, but with everything going on right now, I genuinely don't know. Thank you guys for the heart meat goal. I genuinely don't know how any MAGAs can defend what's happening. I think the Trump denying the FEMA aid for Hurricane Helene after making such a big fuss about it in the 2024 campaign. I can't process what the defense is.
Yeah, I think he denied a renewal, like a 6-month extension on the cleanup to pay 100% for the cleanup. And also he's denied other aid, like for tornadoes in Oklahoma. Sarah Sanders, the governor, was like begging him, like, please release the aid.
I think they just, I saw an article 22 hours ago that he just issued that aid. But it's been what, 9 days? It's been a long time. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get into that. We do have a guest in the box. So for those of you that are here for the first time, thank you so much for joining. We're live Thursdays to Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern, doing live political debates, political discussions, and fact checks. Good debates are dead, man. Damn, I hate to hear that. We also try to be live for all major political events. So if you like this content, drop a follow, tap the screen. Thank you all so much. And we're going to go to our first guest now.
This guy's a political snowflake.
Oh, God.
Kick me out, little whiner boy.
Let's all guess.
Yeah, that's
okay,
right.
You know what?
The winner is here.
If you can find a way to not talk about auxiliary things like good trouble and just talk about policy, I'll let you stay up. How about that?
Okay, let's do that.
Okay. Why do you still support Donald Trump?
The big, beautiful bill. One big, beautiful bill.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Thank you, James, for the dinosaur. So you're cool with raising the debt ceiling by $4 trillion.
Don't care. No.
Okay.
I think there are ways of fixing the debt, okay, which we have to attend to anyway, which I think we agree on both sides. But you guys always say, tell me something that Donald Trump is doing that benefits the American working class people.
Mm-hmm.
You always make that argument. Look at the smicker on I'm Really Important's face, too. Watch this.
Well, I'm waiting to ask you, what do you like about the bill?
For those who make between $30,000 and $80,000,
Yes.
15% tax break.
How? They were just extending the existing tax cuts. How are you going to get a 50% tax break for those
You
people?
tell me, it's in the plan.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
You're making stuff up.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Wait, okay, can you pull up where that is in the plan?
I'm not doing your research
15
for you.
Well, okay, wait, hold on. All right, so if I tell you right now that Donald Trump just deleted the state of Kansas from the map, are you just going to accept that?
No, because everyone knows that's factually incorrect.
Okay, everyone here knows that there's not a 15% tax break for whatever tax bracket you just described, given that the only tax breaks are just an extension.
Between $30,000 and $80,000.
Yeah, the tax breaks are just an extension of the 2017 tax cuts.
Who introduced that?
Donald Trump.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, the pivot.
Oh, there's no pivot here. So
Okay.
he's just bettering what he's already put out there for the American people, right?
Wait. If they're the same tax cuts and they weren't 15% the first time, then how are they 15% this time?
Are you telling me that under one big beautiful bill, it does not call out for if you are in the income between $30,000 and $80,000 that there will be a 15% tax break?
That is what I'm telling you. And you lost the dino vote.
You're
Jeez. Do you know what he's talking about?
I think he's confusing. Perhaps he thinks that if they don't renew the tax cuts, then people's taxes will go up. So he's looking at it as like, oh, we're saving you money because those are going to expire.
Yeah. So this is from, I'm just going to pull this up real quick for everybody in chat. We did go over this, I think, 2 days ago. So from the CBO, change in household resources as a percentage of income under current law for the lowest and highest income deciles. So this is the lowest 10% of Americans and the highest 10% of Americans. And these are by year, 2027, 2029, 2031, 2033. So the household resources for the poorest among us are going down. Household resources for the richest among us are going up.
Not even going up that much either. I saw it was like $10,000 extra for the rich, is the highest earners. So I think this bill is more about punishing the poor, trying to keep us stupid, poor, and angry, because the Medicaid cuts and the SNAP benefits losses to the people at the bottom are devastating. And so this bill is just to ruin America and keep people stupid and poor.
Yeah. Another thing that not enough people are talking about is that while this bill doesn't single out Medicare, because of how steep.
Talk about extreme.
Thank you, Shane. Because of how massive the increase to the deficit will be, we might be triggering PAYGO, which forces us to cut mandatory spending, and Medicare is one of those. I'll pull that up for everybody real quick as well here. So this is also from the CBO. How would Medicare be affected after 2026? The 4% maximum reduction in Medicare spending would apply to sequestration orders 4 years after 2026. So sequestration orders are coming through under the PAYGO Act. The PAYGO Act was, I think, 2010. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. The PAYGO Act of 2020, Pay-as-you-go Act of 2010, which basically sets it so that if the bill that gets passed fails on the scorecard in terms of net increase to the deficit, then you're forced to cut certain mandatory spending. And the maximum amount they can cut for Medicare is 4%. So we're talking a 4% cut to Medicare on the back end, just because of how dog shit the deficit result is from this bill.
Yeah, right there it says 2.3 trillion added to the deficit. I mean, this is going to add trillions of dollars to our debt. That's why people like Ron Johnson, senator from Wisconsin, are freaking out. He's like, "What is this crap? This is just going to add trillions of dollars."
Real quick correction to that front. This is what would trigger PAYGO. The actual bill is going to add more than 2.3 trillion. I believe it's 3.6 trillion. Absolutely insane. I also actually think this is part of the reason why you said that this bill is more about punishing the poor than it is about helping the rich. Because I do think Republicans, at least in the Senate, the House will watch the country burn. They don't care. But Republicans in the Senate don't want the deficit to go too out of whack. So they're willing to couch some of these concerns, but still obviously shit on the poor.
Yeah, no, they're going to chop this bill up a bit, and we'll see if the House can pass it. It passed by one vote in the House, so it's, any changes are going to make it that much more difficult to pass. So we'll see what happens in the end.
Yeah. Also, as a reminder, this bill is being passed under budget reconciliation rules, the same way they passed the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. So if anyone's wondering how are they going to pass a bill through the Senate without 60 votes, that's a way they get around the filibuster. I have good news and I have bad news.
All right.
The good news is we don't have to talk to MAGA. The bad news is there's nobody in the. Oh wait, hold on, we got one.
They'll come by. They'll come by.
Oh no, there's no way this person voted for Trump. Not with a Dr. Vegabunk. Okay, while I guess it's connecting. If you're not following, I'm really important. Make sure to hit that little plus button on his box. He makes great content, does great debates, and I think is live on all platforms as well. You're live on TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube.
I do Twitch and YouTube in the evening separately. I haven't figured out how to dual stream yet, but one of these days.
Hey, how are you? Dr. Vegabunk? Bueller?
That's a misclick.
Yeah.
That is a tapper right there, clicking on the wrong spot.
All right, we're going to go to the next guest. Hey, Annie.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, welcome up.
Did you not see the comments?
No, the comments have been going a little fast for me. I'm sorry. I can pretend I can laugh. Let's see how well I do. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, let's not say I could try. I think this could be, do you guys hear me? Yeah.
I do, yes.
No, I'm hearing myself twice.
Oh, yeah. So there's this thing that's actually getting really frustrating on TikTok, which is there's a glitch where some guests come up and unless I mute my mic, you hear an echo. Nobody else hears the echo. And I don't know how else to solve it other than muting my mic, so I'm going to do that.
Okay. So I shouldn't mute my mic or anything? That doesn't work? Okay. Well, I mean, I was just kind of half kidding, but I did request just in case. I mean, I maybe it'll be good practice for us to do LARP. I don't know. Try a little.
We might have to pretend at some point if they start carting off the liberals as well.
All right, let's just try with one. So just so anyone does know, actually, I'm definitely a Democrat. I've been a lifelong Democrat. But let's see. Well, what are the things they're going to say? Oh my gosh, you guys must be so mad. You're just losing. Trump is winning. He just passed this big, beautiful bill. Big, beautiful bill. Look at that. He actually passed something. How's that so far? Without really knowing what's in it, right? Because I think that's...
He hasn't passed anything yet. He just got it through the House, and got to get through the Senate. Let's see if it can get through the finish line.
You know what? I suck at LARPing. I'm just going to say this.
That was insufficient Trump glazing, actually. I think you needed to really play it up. You need to bring up no tax on tips. Listen, liberals, promises made, promises kept. Yeah, he said he was going to lower grocery prices on day one and then decided to do things that would raise grocery prices through these universal tariffs. Yeah, he said he was going to end the wars in Russia and Ukraine on day one, actually before day one, and that war's still going on. Yeah, he promised peace in the Middle East, but it's actually attempting to buy Gaza. Yeah, all that. But no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. So that's
Can you explain that part to me, please? I'm so sorry. I have heard them say, yeah, there's no tax on tips. Like, what is that? Why is that a win compared to everything else that they're losing?
So the thing is, I think they don't look at things comprehensively. Clearly. Also, for those that don't know about the no tax on tips situation, this is that provision in the bill expires in 3 years. So it expires in Trump's last year. Reminder: tax cuts for the rich being made permanent, whereas the no tax on tips is expiring in 3 years. I do want to dispel some misconceptions. Even though it fits my narrative, I don't want to spread this lie or piece of misinformation. Rather, there's people that are saying that there's no tax on is cash only tips. The IRS defines cash tips as cash or credit card. So I do want to dispel that misconception because listen, there's a ton of truths to tell about this bill where we don't have to spread misinformation. But yeah, so and not only is it's not no tax on tips exactly. It's you get to deduct up to 25,000 of your tips at the end of the year if you itemize your taxes, your expenses, which is something that most Americans don't do. If you fit a certain income bracket, if you fit a certain industry bracket, and if you forego the standard deduction, which is what you have to do in order to itemize. Standard deduction is being raised temporarily to $16,000 on individuals, which would mean that at the end of the day, what this bill says is if you're married, not worth it. Standard deduction is over $25K for that. If you're not married, then you might get a $9,000 tax deduction. So no tax on tips went from if you're in a certain industry, in a certain income bracket, and for only for the next 3 years, you might get a $9,000 tax deduction.
Yeah, and then there's a standalone bill in the Senate that they passed unanimously, meaning 100-0, nobody objected. And that one has some little differences to it, so I get the two confused, so I won't say much. But one of them is unlimited taxes on tips, like unlimited tips. One of them is up to 25,000. I think it's also up to people who make $100,000 in salary in wages. So, but there's from what I've read, maybe you read differently, Dan. There's about 4 million people who make a living on tips in America. So it's not a huge amount of people that this will impact. But it sounds good.
Yeah, it does sound good. It's like a bumper sticker thing.
It is a bipartisan thing, too. So I think Democrats should embrace it. And that's what happened in the Senate. Jackie Rosen from Nevada, since Las Vegas is a big tips town, she introduced it, and it passed unanimously over there. It's got to go to the House, but it is part of the House big bill, too. So who knows what's going to happen. And obviously Kamala was for it.
Yeah. But yeah, Kiki in chat, that's right. Essentially, you would need to make over 16,000 in tips, assuming obviously everyone has expenses that if you're itemizing, you can now itemize those that would be in the standard deduction, but most Americans would never reach that 16K on their regular expenses. So I don't know what that number is, but you would have to make a certain amount of tips before it's worth it to not take the standard deduction.
So why do we think that? Yeah, sorry, it's so weird to hear myself, Dan.
No, you're fine. We did get another MAGA in the box. So if you have one last time,
yeah, no, that's okay. I was just gonna ask this last question.
Okay.
Now it seems silly. Never mind. It's not a good question. Bring the MAGA up.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for coming.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna go to our next guest here. If you're here for the first time, thank you again so much for joining. We're live Thursday to Sunday. Sorry, I just moved the schedule, so I have to get used to my spiel. Thursday to Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, doing live political debates, political discussions, and fact checks. We also try to be live for all major political events. So if you like this content, drop a follow, tap the screen, and make sure you're following I'm Really Important as well. For those that don't know, I'm Really Important was the trainee at the rental car place in the movie Rat Race. And I don't know if anyone else has a strange cult-like obsession with Rat Race like I did when I was growing up. But finding that out was a very interesting fun fact. And so make sure you're following. Wow. We're going to go to our next guest now.
It's on cable TV and stuff once in a while, but yeah, I didn't know people watch it like that. That's cool.
I am under the impression that it's a very loud, vocal minority of people that watch it like that. I really liked it as a kid, and or maybe even as a teenager. But when I asked people, they were like, "I've never seen it. I've never seen it." So I don't know. Anyway, isn't that old for y'all? I'm I don't know about IRI. I am geriatric. I'm 34 years old.
I'm old. I'm 45.
Oh, I'm sorry. My girlfriend from the other room said, "Wow, way to insult him."
Wow.
Listen, you look good for 45.
I appreciate it.
We're gonna go to the next guest. No way he's 45. I'm 46, bro. Thanks. I'm sorry, y'all.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hi, welcome
Nice.
up.
No. You guys got me wrong. So
Oh,
that's
wait, let me
make red
expand.
hats wearable. Make red hats wearable again.
W.
All right.
Nice.
But you guys are bigger creators, right? And I just wanted to bring up one thing, and then I'll drop. I am not opposition, so just hear me out for 1 second. There's, if you look it up, you can verify, as you guys both do. I respect both you guys' platforms. $680 billion a year in uncollected tax revenue every single year. The big beautiful bill did not close the carried interest loophole. It didn't close tax loopholes. They're going after SNAP, which is between 900 million and 4 billion a year in suspected fraud, which you can believe or not believe, whatever. Over 10 years, 40 billion, between 9 and 40 billion in SNAP benefit fraud. Every single year, we are leaving like 600 some billion. Trump cut 20 billion in IRS agents that were in the IRA under Biden, which the OMB has said was going to generate $61 billion in revenue for the government. So it was a net loss of $41 billion, which is more than all of the fraud. He is literally setting up a playground for the ultra wealthy to be able to not pay taxes. He now just recently repurposed the people that investigated white collar crime to track down immigrants. I don't think people are screaming from the rooftops enough about the uncollected tax revenue, which exceeds the trade deficit with China. And so I would like you guys to maybe get on that a little bit and spread the word on that. I mean, I'm sure you pulled it up and found what I found. It's right there.
Well, I talk about it. Every dollar invested in the IRS brings back $5 to $9. So if we want to bring in more money, the ROI on the IRS is huge. So let's pump money in there.
Yeah, this is something that that Trump and Republicans seem to love doing, which is getting rid of things that have a good ROI for us. So for this is one great example, but also the CFPB. For every $1 spent, they bring in what, $6 back to consumers? Was that the number?
Yeah, and Snap is 1.8 on the return for economic. Every dollar put in returns 1.8 in economic activity. Like, once again, but I think the huge thing is I don't know why everybody is sleeping on that 698 or whatever it is billion dollars a year. And the crazy part is every 3 years, that becomes almost uncollectible unless somebody chooses to open up their books from an audit. So every year we're losing $700 billion that people owe, and it's primarily income tax. You can find charts on it. You can see where the money is. Under the IRA, the agents that Biden was going to hire was it was going to cost $20 billion. It's going to replace an aging workforce. There's a huge percentage of people that are eligible for retirement in the IRS. So it was going to start onboarding people so we don't have that delta. And then it was also going to hire people with a targeted goal to go after the ultra wealthy earners, which require like forensic accountants. And it's a more difficult venture. And they were going to put resources towards it.
Well, wait, Trump said it was just IRS agents with guns kicking down your door, man. What do you mean?
That's it. That's it. But no, I would appreciate if you guys carried the water on that a little bit. I think it's a great talking point. I think that it's unassailable. And for the same people that are so hell-bent on worried about people breaking the law to come across the border that they elected a felon, I think the tax code is the law, and they're defunding the tax police. That's the way I say it.
Yeah.
So, feel free, guys. But yeah, I hope you get an op up here. You can.
I appreciate that. I just I wanted to. Some people in chat are coming in and still we all have our trauma responses to the red hat, so I just want to make people know. Yeah, no, he got us too, Allison. He got us too.
Yeah, and I'm 44, so I'm still not the oldest person on the panel. I'd like to point that out.
Wow.
Wow.
So,
Lucky you.
I mean, no shade.
I didn't know this
you got
was.
a foot in the grave and one on a banana
Age
peel, my
off.
guy.
I didn't know this was going to turn into the Comedy Central roast of I'm really important.
True. Leave me alone. I'm an old man. Elder
He's going to
abuse.
change his name to I'm really old.
True.
All right, Brad. I really appreciate
Sorry,
that.
guys.
I will try to bring that up. You're right. Those are like easy dunks. Any of these things that they get rid of that bring in more than they cost should be unassailable positions.
Well,
But I mean,
he brings up a good point. Like, it's not enough just to attack what the Republicans are doing. It's also important to bring up ideas that we think can fix the problem. And this is one of them for sure. Investing in the IRS and collecting that money that's just being left on the table.
yeah.
The carried interest loophole was a promise from Trump in 2016. And you can look that up. And so that never came to fruition. And he did extend it from 1 year to 3 year to holdings before you could claim it. But what it essentially does, for the people who don't know, when you do a business transaction a certain way, you buy a company, you capture profit, whatever, you could claim a 20% tax rate for that money collected. And for example, if you make over $200,000 a year, you're paying 22%. So people can essentially get millions and millions and millions of dollars. This is a trick of the ultra wealthy. They can capture millions and millions of dollars at a lower tax rate than somebody earning $200,000. And so the tax code is written by the wealthy, and that's where we're at right now. So,
I do want to criticize. I'm not sure if this is Biden or Democrats. Maybe one of you two can tell me exactly whose fault this was. There was a very, very big optics hit with the changes to the IRS in the Inflation Reduction Act. When they reduced the cap or the limit that you can receive on platforms like PayPal and Venmo and stuff from 20,000 a year to 600 a year, that was a huge mistake in my opinion. Because while most of the provisions going towards hiring additional IRS agents and stuff is to go after the ultra wealthy, making that change made it seem like they were going to go after just regular people. And I to this day do not know why they chose to do that. I get if they wanted to lower it from like 20K to, I don't know, 10K. I get that. 600, it seemed antagonistic to a lot of people that just share. Like if you're sending money to your friend or to your roommate rather for rent on Venmo, that's getting reported to the IRS, and now you have to either account for it when you do your taxes and say, hey, this isn't income, or not report it and then hope nothing happens. So it's really I don't know why they did it, and I think that's probably part of the reason that it got pushed. Those changes to the IRS got pushed back when Biden did push for them.
yeah, I'm not sure about that. I know I did see the notice on TikTok about the $600, but yeah, I was unsure about the Venmo transactions. That's news to me.
Yeah. This was they delayed enforcement of this by like 3 years or something. But it's definitely something that I personally don't know why they chose to do that, and it's something that I definitely would criticize. I don't know if it was Biden or congressional Democrats. I can't say that for sure.
All right. Yeah, I got nothing on that one. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just curious if either of you guys knew. And listen,
No.
we're not in an election right now. I'm going to criticize our side as much as I can, so
Yeah,
they do
sure.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So the only other thing about the tax code, and what I was having a conversation with someone on earlier, if the midterms go one way, theoretically, we don't have to live with this for 10 years. It's changeable. They would
They
probably
probably
have to
won't
get a
change it, though.
supermajority.
It's
What's that?
just, they probably won't change just like when the Democrats took over, they didn't mess with the taxes because you want people to be able to plan their businesses and their lives. So once they change it, it's probably going to stay. And plus, it's an extension of what already exists. But yeah, they might do some little changes here and there if we take over all three chambers. Well, both chambers. Taking the Senate's going to be tough.
Then it's
And
not.
I like your optimism.
Taking the Senate in this midterms would require like a massive vibe shift. Like it would probably be the biggest political upset in history. If you look at the map, it's not looking good. We
It
needed
would be like flipping Texas or something.
Yeah. We needed Pennsylvania to hold, to have any chance, and it didn't happen. So why do you have an American flag? Because I'm an American.
Because of how early he did this, though, because he had to do it in his first year, the effects are going to take place before the midterms. So that's where I'm holding out a little bit of hope that he can't blame this on anyone else but himself, because he gets to live with it. People get to eat the results of this bill if it goes into effect immediately. And so by midterms, you can, kick the hornet's nest enough that maybe things would swing that way. But I'm just being optimistic because it's dire times. And I'm sorry.
I totally get that. If assuming there's no funny business in regards to the changes to election laws and stuff like that, and right now I'm not super optimistic about that. I do think the Democrats are probably going to take the House, the Senate, man.
Well, history says the party in the White House gets their teeth kicked in the first midterm, so it's almost guaranteed we take the House. Plus the changes in Wisconsin, they'll probably redo their maps there now that we can still control the Supreme Court. And that's 2 automatic seats. Republicans have 6 out of 8 seats in the House right now in Wisconsin. And Trump won that 50-50. So I imagine it'll be split evenly. And that's 2 extra seats right there. So I think we'll have the House. I don't know if we'll have the Senate, though, but maybe.
Yeah. Just to give you guys some perspective. When I say you guys, I mean the collective you guys. Back in 2018, Democrats received, and obviously midterms, it's a little bit harder because you can't, there's no top ticket candidate, but for congressional Democrats received 9 million more votes than congressional Republicans. That's how big of a swing midterms can have if the president is unpopular. And so we'll see.
Don't forget natural disasters too. Those are hitting red states, and when people are having trouble recovering from that because of the FEMA response, the blocking of aid, things like that, I think he's doing a really good job of making a lot of Democrat voters without our help. So I don't know. It's sad. It's sad that it has to happen that way, but hopefully it is happening because I think it's good for the country. But that's all. I'll let you get some mop up here and do your thing. But yep, love to chat again when we have more time another time. So
sounds good. Yeah, you're always welcome to come back. Thank you so much.
All right. Later,
dude.
If a black mayor can win in Omaha plus the FEMA gutting. Wait, that happened recently?
Yeah, we flipped the mayorship in Omaha. A Republican held it, woman, for 12 years. She was going for a 4th term, and we won by 13%. Black guy, first black mayor of Omaha. And that is a very swing area, Omaha, Nebraska. That's 50-50.
When was this? Was this last year?
Couple weeks ago.
No, a couple weeks ago. Wait, damn, I didn't even hear about this.
Big win, yeah. And then we have Wisconsin, where we won by 10% 2 months ago, basically, after Elon pumped $20 million into that Supreme Court race down there.
Yeah, that I heard about. Was it a special election, or do I just not know Omaha? Why was an election held 2025?
I don't know why it was held now, but I don't know. But I think it was pretty normal because it was the incumbent Republican running for a 4th term.
Yeah, new mayor. Here we go. Blue Dot will have a Democratic mayor. What it means for Nebraska politics. New mayor in the state's largest city. Man. Is Nebraska where Osborne ran for the Senate, or am I mixing up?
Yeah, as an independent.
Man. That was a sleeper race, and I genuinely think if the presidential candidate had won, so if Kamala had won, I think that could have happened. What did that end up? Nebraska.
I think he lost by 10% or something.
I don't think it. That's what it was on election night. It looked like a blowout, but once the votes were counted, hold on. Nebraska Senate election. It's 2024. Maybe not. I guess that's not. You're right. What is that?
What? 7%? I can't see his percent.
Sorry, 7%.
Yeah, it's still pretty close.
Well, it's closer than if we go back to 2018.
That's a red state.
Go back to 2018. 20%, right? From 20% to 7 is kind of huge.
And that's a red state. That's statewide vote right there. I mean, the only blue part of Nebraska is I think it's the 2nd congressional district is pretty blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so look, the reason why we point out these things is because you can't argue with election results. You can argue with polls, you can argue with vibes, But election results, that is in black and white, and everything has gone our way since the November election.
That's true. The two Florida special elections, they went from plus 30 Republican races to plus 15. And yeah, listen, I would have liked to win them, but a 15-point swing is nothing to scoff at.
Huge.
And anyone that's ever been to Florida District 1 knows why that was not one. Okay.
Matt Gaetz's district.
Matt Gaetz's district, the Panhandle.
Yeah, I mean a 15-point swing to the left in Matt Gaetz's district. That is remarkable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think the only thing that would hold us back right now is Democratic approval rating. It's not that Trump is popular, but Democrats in general are also not popular right now. That's something that we should probably work on. I live there. Oh, hey Quinn.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Sorry, I'm making dinner and I caught you guys talking about District 1 Florida was a 15-point swing. That's huge because I used to live in District 1 Florida for 7 years, and it is a highly like huge Republican stronghold in that area. So for it to swing 15 points in this election, it's kind of huge, man. Just knowing the people that live there and the vibes and stuff, yeah, that's huge.
And there is something to say about the press turnout as well. So we don't necessarily need to flip these deep red voters, but if they're like, man, my Walgreens shelves are pretty empty, I'm not going to go vote. We'll take those.
Dude.
We'll take those.
I'm telling you, man, listen, District 1 Florida, it's Walton County a lot, and the place I lived was called Mossy Head, Florida, bro. That's the kind of voters we got there. So so for a 15-point swing, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go eat my tacos and continue listening. I'll probably see if I can join again later if you're taking friendlies.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Thank you so much for coming up.
Yep, see ya.
Bye. From Discord, Dan, maybe make IRI bigger, might catch more MAGA.
No, don't worry about that. Leave me in the tiny box. Don't worry, we'll talk some smack to get MAGA up here if they don't request stuff. I can piss them off, trust me. I start talking about Joe Biden was fine and watch them go crazy.
Joe Biden was fine. Wait, do they think that Joe Biden, that the White House was hiding Joe Biden's deterioration? Yeah. Joe Biden was totally fine.
They think they caught him red-handed with the auto pen, the cancer, the announcement. They think it's over. Biggest scandal of the century.
Can I ask MAGA, have any of you seen a video of Joe Biden being handed an executive order and being told what the executive order was? And him finding out in real time and then signing it. I haven't seen Biden do that, but I have seen Trump do that.
Now, Trump has no idea what's being put in front of him, and that's why he's like, "Can you explain that? What about you? You got any thoughts on that?" He's finding out just like us.
Oh wait, I actually just shared a TikTok that I think really fits this. Hold on one second. I can get it.
I've been talking smack on the South Africans, on the big bill. I mean, we can go on and on. There's so many things to
Oh God. Oh, the fact that the president, the leader of the free world, the president of the United States, when talking to the president of South Africa, just shows him fake news.
Yes.
Oh, damn, man.
Credit to the president of South Africa. He's like, what was this? He's trying to play it cool. Like, I haven't seen that before. Where did that happen?
I had a mind.
Okay, so I'm gonna play this video for y'all. I think it kind of.
I had a mind.
Sorry if that's loud. I'm gonna lower it a little bit. I think it kind of. I'm curious what my chat thinks about this. We're gonna do a poll afterwards. Because I'm curious what you guys think. I'm starting to agree with Zach here.
Mind-boggling realization when I saw that Trump thought the MS-13 in this picture was real, like it wasn't photoshopped. Dude, he's not in on the scam. This whole time, I thought that MAGA was coming up with stupid stuff like this to trick stupid people and Trump was in on the scam. But it turns out he is one of the stupid people they're tricking, and then he goes out and sells this stuff like it's real because he thinks it's real.
He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattoo.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry. Terry.
He did not have the letter MS13.
It says MS13.
That was Photoshopped. So let me
That was Photoshop, Terry. You can't do that.
He's not tricking your gullible uncle who gets his news from Facebook memes. He is your gullible uncle who gets his news from Facebook memes. And I'll be honest, I always thought that Trump was this like evil master manipulator PR king, but it turns out he's just a moron who's got like a savant level superpower of being relatable to people who have below average critical thinking skills. And it turns out it's because he has below average critical thinking skills, and now I get it, but I'm a little terrified.
All right. Chat. I'm gonna do a poll. Curious what you guys think. Laughing emoji if you agree, or crying emoji if you think that Trump is in on some of the robbery of the lower and middle class.
I love the tattoo on his knuckle. Like Abrego Garcia went into the tattoo parlor and was like, I want size 18 Helvetica font, 1-3 on my hand. And the tattoo artist's like, you sure we can do something nicer if you want? He's like, nope, that's what I want.
Yeah, chat. I'm starting to lean towards that he's just an idiot, and the people around him are like taking advantage of like they know two things about him, right? He cares about himself. He cares about making himself look good, and so if they can sell a fake news story to him as an old dumb guy, that makes him look good, then he's gonna roll with it.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of not the smartest guy in the world. Obviously, he's intelligent if he got to where he is, and he's his businesses are successful. He's a smart criminal. He uses it for evil, but I do think there's some problems there, and I think his brain is deteriorating too.
I do want to point out that had Donald Trump taken the money that he inherited from his father and invested it just into a mutual fund or even just into an S&P 500 ETF, he would have more money than he ended up with before running for president. I'm not going to talk about after president but with the crypto rug pull, he's like one of the richest men on earth. But before running for president, he actually had less money than he would have if he just did nothing. He lost money to time, like just all of his work. Got up in the morning, worked an 8-hour day, just made less money than if he had just put it in the stock market and sat on a beach for 40 years. So, I believe the crypto grift's solid evidence he knows he's robbing us. See, that's the thing. He doesn't even know how crypto works. He wanted Bitcoin minted in the United States. Like who's to say that he's even going to be the beneficiary of most of that? Like, that could be his sons who know a little bit more about the crypto world, I guess. So yeah, I don't know.
That's his most successful business venture too, the crypto coin.
Yeah, by a lot, I think.
Yeah, you made billions.
Thinks it's a literal coin, probably. What are you talk about stuff? You have no clue, James. If you think I have no clue, come up and prove me wrong.
Please educate us. We'd love to hear the truth.
I think it's probably your civic duty as an American, right? Because if we're wrong about the president, I think you should come up and educate us so that we can support the president and his doings. James?
Why do you have Marco Rubio sitting on your mic out of all people?
So my chat just really, really enjoyed his uncomfortable look during the Zelensky meeting. We all thought it was pretty relatable. Even though Marco Rubio is a part of one of the most evil administrations of all time, he does happen to be, and I mean this sincerely, you can disagree, the most qualified member of the cabinet right now. And that's saying something.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, we all hate Marco Rubio, but man, was this look relatable. And so he just kind of became a meme. I mean, we might add some more characters. I know Johnny was inspired by this and added Kamala sitting on his mic. We were thinking about adding Bernie with his mittens. Oh, you know what? Since we have no guests, I am very, very curious on your thoughts on the Bernie interview with Andrew Schultz.
Oh, where he attacked identity politics. I don't know. I don't know what to think of it. I mean, it seemed out of character for Bernie. I know a lot of people are disappointed in it. I think he expressed himself in a very clumsy way in that regard. But I do think the Democratic Party is kind of shifting away from this focus on like race and things, and people don't like that. But it does seem like that's kind of the direction we're headed in, and it's probably going to get highlighted and get even bigger now because of economics is on the front and center. You know, like we're past the BLM 2020 days where that was the focus, and now we're more focused on the economy with the tariffs.
Well,
and all
when
that.
you say we, are you referring to the population, or are you referring to the political campaigns?
No, the population, I would say, just focused on certain things. You know, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying when the economy is doing poorly, that's when people start focusing on on it. You know. So I don't know. What do you think? Why did he say that? It was very out of character.
Yeah. So I will be frank. I didn't watch the full interview. I watched 2 clips. So I mean, honestly, if we don't get any more guests, I'd be down to react to that with you if you want. But what it seemed as though for the identity politics thing, it seemed as though he's starting to fall into the same mindset that a lot of not all, but a lot of white leftists fall into, which is focusing on class only and ignoring the rest of intersectionality. Sure. And I mean, in his defense, he's a million-year-old white man from the least diverse state in the country. So, like, I get that. What also bothered me about something in that interview was I didn't like that he had zero pushback when Andrew Schultz essentially said that there hasn't been a fair primary since 2008. Because I voted for Bernie in every primary. And I do think the 2016 primary was unfair for several reasons. Bernie lost in 2020. There were a lot of outside factors that could have maybe swung things a little bit more in his direction. So, like if Elizabeth Warren dropped out before Super Tuesday, if COVID didn't start COVIDing so soon, and a few other factors. But he lost to Biden fair and square in that primary. And when he had zero pushback and said no argument here, I don't know, that to me rubbed me the wrong way. As a Bernie supporter for pretty much since he started running in 2015, that rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah. I voted for Bernie in 2016 and 2020 as well. I had no problem supporting Hillary and Biden once Bernie lost.
Oh yeah, same.
Sounds like you and I are on the same page there. But I agree. Bernie, he delves into this area a little bit where it's a little MAGA-esque. I'm going to be honest. He says it's basically fake news. He talks about how the corporate media is misleading people. And he says things like, well, they don't give platform for progressive voices, which some people, you know, they're free to draw that conclusion as well. But I think it gets people to doubt the media. And he kind of gives people the impression you got to come to me for the real news and the real information. I don't like that. So.
Yeah. Another thing from that interview was when he essentially downplayed the claims of misogyny regarding the Bernie Bros, especially back in 2016. This is something that he had to come out about in the race. I remember it. He had to come out about and disavow a lot of the harassment from the online Bernie Bros. And whether or not those Bernie Bros were a loud minority, or whether they were ones that actually care about progressive values, or ended up being the 10% of Bernie primary voters that voted for Trump, that I don't know. But for him to now try to rewrite history on that, I don't know. It really bugged me because I think he can absolutely he could have absolutely answered the question, chastising that part of his support without blaming himself. He doesn't need to say, yeah, because of the things I said, there were a lot of misogynists. So I just didn't like how he answered that question. And maybe it's it's hurting me more because of how much I do support Bernie. That that interview was not it. Now, again, I haven't watched the full interview. I watched 2 or 3 clips, I guess, which is probably of the worst stuff. I'm sure that maybe other stuff is probably better. So, is it guess the box?
I saw a lot of it. I like that Democrats are going to these spaces because they were nodding along with him for most of it. Like, that makes sense. We love it. But then they still support Trump. But I think with enough people going into their space, maybe they'll give Democrats a chance. Maybe.
Yeah.
But the other thing about Bernie that chaps my hide is he's not setting up someone as his successor. Lately, he is with AOC and the tour, but he could do way more. I mean, good Lord, he's got maybe a few years left. Like, why not just push so many other people to the front? You know, why is it all about him? Why does he keep making it about him?
Yeah, yeah. And this is actually something that at the time I didn't criticize him as much for, but now I guess with seeing the recent stuff makes me think side eye a little bit. So leading up to 2020, Bernie said that I'm not going to run if I feel that there's a candidate that can continue to fight for the working class, continue to fight for progressive values, et cetera, et cetera. And when he chose to run, it seemed as though that were the case. There wasn't really a candidate in that camp. Yeah, there were candidates left of center, like Warren and frankly Kamala was more left in 2020 than she was in 2024. But Bernie did seem policy wise to still be the best option. But I mean, he had years to, like you said, bring up somebody else that's not an old white guy. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, because what's going to happen is he's going to be gone and the movement's going to be over. Like, who's going to take over? Like AOC, maybe, but
I mean,
he's got a whole. Yeah,
I would love for AOC to take over the movement. The only issue with AOC is that the right has had years already of the fake news machine about her. Essentially, like, there's already an ongoing joke that AOC is dumb because she's a bartender or whatever. And this is kind of what happened with Hillary. Hillary had decades of right-wing propaganda against her already built up.
Yep.
But other than that, I mean, I love AOC. I think she's well-spoken. I think she's willing to play ball when she needs to. I think she's her policies are on point from what I've seen. There are 1 or 2 things that I think I've disagreed with her on, but for the most part, I would support her candidacy. Definitely interested in who else would run in the primary.
Yeah, she's definitely done a great job just gaining power behind the scenes and growing, and she's only been there since 2019, which is crazy.
Yeah. With this. Okay, let's see if we have any MAGA in the guest box.
Yeah, what the hell? Don't be shy, MAGA. Come on.
Before we bring up our next guest, if you are here for the first time, thank you so much for joining. We're live Thursdays to Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern, doing live political debates, political discussions, and fact checks. We also try to be live for all major political events. So if you like this content, drop a follow, tap the screen. Make sure you're also following I'm Really Important. He does similar lives, but he is much wiser than I am. So if you want somebody that knows more, then that's the guy to follow. For everybody that has gifted or subbed so far, thank you all so much. But y'all know nobody has to gift, nobody has to sub. The only thing I'm asking for is if you could just make sure that you're following. Double check next to my name. If there's an orange heart or a gray heart, you're good to go. If there's a red oval, hit that follow button. Oh, and last plug. I forget this one all the time. We are still in limbo for the TikTok ban. The can keeps getting kicked down the road, but we have not gotten to a permanent solution. So make sure you're following on the other platforms. My YouTube and Twitch are right there. We are actually live streaming on YouTube and Twitch right now if you want to see this live on the wide screen. I haven't figured out a way to show the guests yet, so if you're watching on YouTube or Twitch, you're just going to be hearing IRI. But make sure you're following just in case. And then where's the straw hat flag? I took it down for a theatrical video. Oh, wait, I forgot to post. I was supposed to post a TikTok. I was supposed to posting a TikTok right when you go live brings more people into the live. I've found, and I totally forgot. It's in the drafts, and I forgot to do it. All right, we're gonna go to the next guest. Sorry, guys. Damn it, Dan. Yeah, I know. There was the worst one was when I made a TikTok. Hi, welcome up. Just give me 1 second. I made a TikTok promoting that we were gonna do a live fact check of the vice presidential debate. And then I wore a fucking a collared shirt and a tie for this TikTok, and I talked about the background of Tim Wald, and I talked about the background of Vance and all that. And it was I put a lot of work into it, and I just totally forgot about it. We did the whole thing. It was a 4-hour live, 5-hour live, and I was like, I'm still posting this. I don't care. Hi, welcome up.
Hey, like I had just requested when y'all were talking about Bernie, I just wanted to like speak on it a little bit or whatnot, because it's just like I live in Texas, and it's just like to me and like other black people in the South that I talk to, it's like we do not really like Bernie that much, and it's just like he has constantly failed to like garner any traction with like black people at all down in the South. So like that's like led to a lot of his failed campaigns or whatnot. And it's just like every time I talk to like the Bernie Bros or whatnot, and I bring this up, is one, it's immediately dismissed, or two, they go like, well, what about Biden? What about Harris? What about this person? What about that person? I'm just like, y'all don't ever actually address the issue that you're not connecting with black people. And it's just like, because I watched that whole interview or whatnot, me and my buddies, we like talked about it. And I'm just like, he talked for like 4 or 5 minutes about him not being able to connect with like black people or identity politics and everything like that. But he like talked for like 12 minutes about the Dodgers moving away when he was a kid.
Yeah.
I'm just like out of that whole hour and a half, we got the least amount of time.
Yeah, this is something I spoke to a little bit more on last night's live, where I think like Bernie and his campaign recognize that they struggle with black voters, but it's like they've never tried to find out why. I don't believe that he courted an endorsement from Jim Clyburn or any other member of the black community in Congress. It doesn't seem that way. So when Jim Clyburn did endorse Biden, for Bernie supporters to come out, a lot of them, not all of them, of course, but to come out and say like, why are black voters not? Why would they support Biden? He was a part of the crime bill. Why would they not support Bernie? He was arrested for fighting for civil rights. Like, that's, y'all should maybe listen to the black community rather than try to like figure out how they should vote. So yeah, and I will admit, back in 2016, I was kind of one of these people. I didn't get it, and I criticized black voters without ever talking to them. And I've obviously learned more since then. But I was one of those people that was like, I just don't get why they would support Hillary over Bernie. Yeah, it's tone deaf. Yeah.
Yeah, this is. I also talked to my dad about it too. Like he's part of like older community. He's like 64, I think. Yeah, he's 64. So he's like known about Bernie like his whole life or whatnot, and he's like a dedicated. He like votes in the primaries and everything like that. And it's just like I even asked him. I'm just like, what are your thoughts on Bernie? And he's just like, he don't really care about us. He just cares about helping. As long as he helps poor white people, if we benefit or if we don't benefit, he will not view that as a measure of success or whatnot. So it's just like even he doesn't like Bernie, and he's like in a way older demographic than me.
Right.
And it's just like even like as we get like more people in the electorate, like Gen Z or whatnot, it's just like all across the board. Like his only real support is like in Gen Z mostly. That's where most of his support comes from. But it's just like as time goes on, he loses more and more of those people.
Yeah.
If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I had someone else in the live yesterday bring up another great point, which is that a lot of people in the black community voted for Biden because they didn't think Bernie could win in the general, and black women in particular are very, very good at voting for the winner of the election. So I totally get that idea when the opponent is going to be Donald Trump. The picking Biden actually seems to make sense. I talked about it yesterday. In the Democratic primary, everyone had their gimmick, right? Bernie's was Medicare for all. We had Elizabeth Warren was tax the billionaires. We had Jay Inslee was the environment. Everyone had something. And Biden's theme was, I'm going to beat Trump like a drum. And he did that. We saw it. He blew his back out by 7 million votes. So
the problem with Bernie is he doesn't reflect on his loss. I think, what do I know? But like he always blames other things, and a lot of Bernie bros do this too. Like it's always the corporate media's fault. It's the Democratic Party's fault. It's the pharmaceutical industry's fault. It's never Bernie's fault. It's never the progressive movement. And this is coming from a progressive. It's like, guys, Bernie wasn't perfect. Like can we not reflect on that?
I 100% agree, and I can speak to that as a person who used to believe that. Like after the 2016 election, I was one of those people. Like it was like this is all everyone else's fault. Obviously, I've grown politically since then, and brainly, but yeah.
Well, but like Bernie has to accept that those factors exist, and you have to win in that environment. You can't just cry all day. You got to figure out a way to win, even with the deck stacked against you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't see progressive ever winning because, yes, the policies poll very well. Yes, when you talk to people, would you love to save money on your health insurance? But people are scared of change. And so it's a heavy lift. And so you got to really work hard to get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like that's what I've always just noticed. Like, I was talking with someone on Twitter the other day. I'm just like, Bernie's had like 2 failed presidential runs in 9 years to like figure out how to connect with the black people, particularly black people in the South. And rather than ever try to figure it out, he just dismisses it and blames other people.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't think it's like the progressive movement per se, because it's just like all the people I go to college with and all the people I talk about politics with, it's just like black people that I talk about politics with. We like AOC or whatnot. Like we're very supportive of AOC or whatnot. And it's just like, it's Bernie. It's just like, he just doesn't want to connect and he just dismisses it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not to say he hasn't, done great things in his career. If you put him up against most senators, he's awesome. But at the end of the day, he's still a politician. Still an old white dude.
Yeah. But that's all I wanted to say.
I really appreciate you coming up. Thank you so much.
Hey.
He doesn't think he needs the black vote to win. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it seems like, especially with how he's dismissing both of his primary losses.
Yeah, he did very poor with the black community in the primary. And like you said, Jim Clyburn, who is like a huge voice in South Carolina, and it doesn't even seem like Bernie tried to get his vote or his endorsement at all. And people said, well, Jim Clyburn, he rigged it for Biden and Nancy Pelosi, and they all rigged it. It's like, well, did Bernie even try to win over the Congressional Black Caucus and people like Jim Clyburn? I didn't see anything.
Yeah. I didn't see anything either.
And people will criticize Biden. They'll say, well, he endorsed the crime bill and all that. Well, Bernie voted for the crime bill, I believe, and the Congressional Black Caucus supported it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying at the time in the 90s, a lot of people, that's where they were at, and so it's not the criticism people think it is against Biden.
Restart for ops. 2 questions. Do you think AOC is strong enough to actually run? I do think so, but best way to find out is put her through a primary. I'm actually super excited to see the Democratic primary this time around. If we still have a democracy, of course.
We will. It's too big to rig, Dan. Come on. They can't rig it.
I hope so. Here's the thing. Once the president starts ignoring the Supreme Court, what do we have left? Like if they just choose to change the election laws, or do some kind of habeas corpus thing with a state of emergency or something like that. How do we stop that if the Supreme Court has no power?
We'll see. I think the one thing I wonder about is if they'll make a situation similar to Ukraine where there's martial law, can't have elections, where Trump will orchestrate some 9/11 2.0 or something. Hey, can't do elections right now, guys. We're at war. So who knows? But I'm optimistic.
David, if Dems wipe out GOP in 26, Speaker Johnson won't seat the new Congress in 27. I honestly can see that. Well, what would happen? Would they hold him in contempt?
I disagree. I think Republicans have a pretty good chance of holding on to power through the democratic process. And so at the worst case scenario, they get delayed another 4 or 8 years, whatever, but they can come back and steal more. So that's just me though.
Yeah. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, by the way. It's just these things wouldn't surprise me. I'm not going to say they're definitely going to happen, but they wouldn't surprise me given what we've seen.
Maybe I get concerned. Like, I think yesterday we found out Trump fired half of the National Security Council staff, that like 100 out of 200, 300. That stuff concerns me because those people are like the best of the best who understand our relationships with other countries and what the threats are.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go to our next guest. Hi, welcome up.
Hi. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Okay. So I guess my question would be, y'all talking about ignoring the Trump, sorry, I have an echo in there. They've ignored the Trump Supreme Court thing. How do you guys feel about Biden ignoring it? And then also him using parole to allow people in. Like I feel like the Democrats have continually ignored the Democrats.
Can you get a little bit closer to the mic?
Can I ask you, Amy, what do you think Biden did to ignore the Supreme Court?
So the first one was during COVID. So
You teacup.
I mean, she's losing the debate to her service right now. She's probably going to bring up student loan debt relief. That's
Can you hear me now? Okay. So the first one would be when he ignored during COVID, during the rent. And he said people don't have to pay rent. Their landlords will do whatever. Supreme Court forced him to do that, and then he didn't do it. He ignored it and said nobody has to pay rent. Right. The second time he did it was when it was a student loan forgiveness.
I'm curious to hear your
around it.
Dan. I'm curious to hear your argument about that talking point.
That's a damn lie.
So, thank you, Fufu. So for the student loan forgiveness, he didn't ignore a Supreme Court order. He
worked around it, right?
Well, he tried to find another legal pathway to relieve student loan debt. That's completely different from Donald Trump, who said, I just don't care about the Supreme Court order.
So when did he ever 100% say that, or did he say the exact same kind of thing?
Nope. So for Kilmar Abrego Garcia, there was a 9-0 Supreme Court ruling for him to facilitate the return, and he's done nothing.
Okay, so same thing though with Biden. It was a Supreme Court order to say you cannot do this with student loans, and he worked around it. And so Trump and his lawyers are working around bringing back that guy. Why is it something that I guess what I'm trying to say to you all is you guys make it seem like how dare he and like all this stuff, but then ignore exactly what Biden did. Like, what do you think about Biden ignoring the rent? I can't even remember the word.
It's about the rent moratorium.
Moratorium. Good golly, thank you. Sorry, I'm a mama. I got my kids here and I'm cooking dinner. But yeah, so how do you feel about that? How do you feel about him ignoring other court rulings, but you blowing up Trump?
Yeah, I don't remember going down like that. But I think the student loans.
I know you might not remember that, but that is what happened.
No, I don't think that's
rent moratorium. Yeah, 100% it is.
No, it was allowed to expire, and that was the end of it. I don't know what you're talking about.
So I can definitely speak to the student loan thing, and we can keep talking about that. But I'm looking into the rent moratorium. I don't see any evidence that he ignored a court order.
How could he, anyways? It wasn't an action by the federal the government, But Amy, to your point about the student loans, Biden used existing longstanding programs to forgive student loans. That was deemed legal. That was using another method. When it comes to
Yes,
Kilmar
using
Abrego
another
Garcia,
method.
what?
No, I agree. Like he went around it.
So what is
Even
the
though
legal
he literally
method?
Biden literally tweeted, "I don't care what the courts say." So I feel like what I'm trying to explain to y'all is Trump may or may not be doing the same exact, like I feel like it's the same play, different team, where you're making one thing a huge deal, but not the other team's same exact play. And they literally said on Biden's tweet, like, I don't care what the courts say. I'm going to forgive student loans because that's what I got elected
But
for.
he found a legal way to do so. Donald Trump is breaking the law by not facilitating the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
So for that particular one, I think it's a mess already, and I don't agree with
is
it.
being destroyed
I don't
by
agree with
stupid
it
people.
that he shouldn't bring him back. I think it's a mess. So I think they're scrambling. I think it looks terrible for the Republicans. I don't agree with it.
Okay,
I think he's going to get deported no matter what when he gets back. But yeah, it looks really bad.
I think
But to
a
hinge
mess.
everything on that, like you're hinging all of these deportations on that specific case, and that's inappropriate as well.
Well, okay. I think describing a massive human rights violation as a mess is underplaying it a lot. We also
It
need to
is
look
a
at what we're
mess
talking about
because
here.
Biden
So,
and them overused the parole clause to bring in millions of people where that wasn't how it was supposed to work, right? It was supposed to be a one-off basis, but they allowed millions in because of it. And now we have a mess.
Can you explain what that means? What?
So the parole situation where the Biden administration brought in people from situations from different countries. There was the one where it was like, I can't remember the 4 countries. There was also like a parole.
You teacupped, you swiped away.
You might be looking it up. We can't hear you when you're tapped out of the app.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to look up the nations, but so there were situations where he brought in these people, and he used a long-standing parole policy that we've had for I think like 70 years or something like that, right? It was supposed to be a one-off situation for illegal immigrants to come in here, and we grant them parole, we grant them legal status. He used that for millions of people. And now we are supposed to somehow figure out how to deport those people. All I'm trying to say, and I'm not saying all of them should go. I'm not saying I agree with Trump 150%. I think maybe that came off wrong. What I'm saying is this is all a mess, and all of the courts have ruled different things. And each president has gone in and said, I'm going to pick and choose which I listen to. And I think us as a country is losing sight of things by doing this tribal, well, Trump is the devil for doing this. He's doing the exact same thing that Biden did. Like he is to a T almost, and it's annoying for somebody who supports the Republican Party.
Well, I think you're talking about temporary protected status. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about the parole, and I can't log off of this to look it up, but it was from 4 different specific countries. They said only 1,000 or something were let in. It was like millions. I can't remember which 4 countries, and it ended up being them granting parole status to immigrants who weren't from those 4 countries, but they were saying.
Can you just like we'll let you tab out for a bit. We just need to see what you're talking about, because right now I don't know what you're referring to. I know that Joe Biden never ignored a Supreme Court order in the way that Donald Trump has. So we can go back to the Kilmar Abrego Garcia situation in a bit, but I do want to at least know what you're talking about so that we can maybe we're wrong. I don't know. It just kind of sounds like some bullshit. No offense.
Okay, so it was the CHNV parole thing.
Okay. So that is
Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, Venezuelans.
Mm-hmm.
He decided to use a standard of parole for immigrants that most presidents never used. It was like, I will grant this person legal status into my country, without them coming in the
Okay.
legal
Can
way.
we just read about it together? Because I know chat
Love
doesn't
it.
know about this
Yes,
as well.
love it.
We can read about it together here.
Which is weird that you don't know about that. That's so weird. Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, I had not heard about this. Okay, so CHNV is for humanitarian parole programs that allowed certain individuals from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela to be considered for a 2-year stay in the United States. Under U.S. immigration law, parole grants individuals permission to stay in the United States for urgent humanitarian reasons or significant public benefit. The mechanics of CHNV, particularly the online application process, was modeled on the United for Ukraine program that began in the spring of 2022 after the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine displaced millions of people. The CHNV process required a U.S.-based sponsor to prove they had the financial means to support the particular CHNV national, referred to as a beneficiary, and to explain why the beneficiary merited parole. If the beneficiary passed background checks, they received hold on, I'll pull up the source for this. If the beneficiary passed background checks, they received authorization to travel to the U.S. To a U.S. airport where they were individually considered for parole by CBP. In 2022 and 2023, the Department of Homeland Security laid out the rationale for the programs in notices to the federal registrar. Each notice detailed the country conditions that indicated parole was an urgent humanitarian imperative. For example, the notice for Nicaragua discusses escalating repressive tactics by the government in 2021 and 2022 that led to thousands of people to flee the country seeking protection. The notices also explained that the parole programs were in the public interest because they would reduce reliance on smugglers to cross between land border ports of entry and instead allow for pre-vetted migration through airports to supporters in the United States. The Federal Register notices for the programs explained that during the 2-year parole period, individuals could seek humanitarian relief such as asylum or other immigration benefits for which they may be eligible and work and contribute to the U.S. economy as they do so. What was the impact? As soon as it was announced in January of 2023, interest in CHNV by U.S. supporters was significant, and the applications for the program far exceeded the set cap of 30,000 parolees permitted to enter the United States each month. Most supporters applied to sponsor relatives and friends, but other supporters were employers or faith groups. Applications were processed in part based on how long they were in queue and in part randomly. That means that by the summer of 2023, some supporters who had applied the day the program began were still waiting for processing. On the other hand, the program was not accessible to all CHNV nationals eager to come to the United States. Many had trouble getting passports required for the program. Parents and... Okay, so I don't know... Oh, here we go. Challenges during the Biden administration. You're refusing to acknowledge the success of the CHNV program. Texas and several other states sued the Biden administration in 2023, arguing that CHNV was a drain on state resources. A Trump-appointed judge disagreed and ruled the states had no standing. Okay, so they lost in court. What are we doing here?
Sorry, I've got lots going on in my house. No, so the first thing is they were supposed to only allow 30,000. They've allowed, I think it was up to 500,000 or 1 million. I can't remember. But the other thing is they came from different countries. And I know the articles, when you Google it, aren't going to show that, but it is actually what happened and what started the lawsuit action in Texas. So I don't know how
30,000 each month. It was not 30,000 total. It was 30,000 each month.
Yeah. So
okay.
But
so
which search engine are you? I'm just genuinely curious.
Which search? I'm on refugeesinternational.org. That's the website.
No. So what? Like when you Google that CHNV.
I'm using Google. That's right.
So yeah. So like go to like DuckDuckGo instead or another one, because God, it was like a year ago.
I'm just gonna ask this. Has Joe Biden or the Biden administration lost a court case regarding this?
I honestly am not sure, but
the answer is no.
That status.
The answer is no.
That's my child with autism, so please don't make fun of him.
Wait, but, when did I?
No, he's laughing at dinner. The CHMV, you can look that they approved it. It was all through the app. I wish I had it pulled up. I'm not like a TikToker, so I don't have a separate computer to look it up. But what I'm telling you is I would very much recommend looking into that type of thing. The vitriol, like I hate, Amy's an idiot, this person's an idiot. I'm not. And what I'm telling you is that both sides, both parties, both presidents have used the court system very similarly.
Okay.
And this is like, it's silly.
But you haven't demonstrated that. This is an example that you just brought up where Texas and the other states lost in court. So Biden was and his administration were in the right here. So this example, throw it out. Get it out of your lexicon. It's over.
Got it.
Now,
Got it.
if we want to talk about the student loan debt.
The rent moratorium. Please Google that. Please
the rent
Google
moratorium.
that.
Okay. All right. We'll fact check that one as well. Hold on.
Just Google it. Everything you Google, that's the hard part about Google. You have to go like 4 pages deep to see, because they have and I know that makes me sound
court cases are public though. Court cases are public.
They are. So what I'm telling you though is look up what the Supreme Court said, which is normally what I would do. Like that's, if I had my computer up, I would pull up all that stuff for you guys. I'm not talking out my ass completely. But the rent moratorium, there was the student loan forgiveness, which I get that he worked around that, but what people fail to recognize is that the Supreme Court ruled that you cannot do a mass forgiveness of loans like that. And so yes, he worked around it, but if Trump did the exact same thing, which is what he's trying to do with a lot of this deportation, people say, well, that's just the evil thing to do. And so that's what that was my main point was, hey, I get it. You guys are saying that it's completely okay. Same thing has happened for Trump and same thing has happened for every other president before it. We're arguing moral things that aren't legal and legal things that aren't moral.
Well, okay. So I'm looking into this stuff already with the eviction moratorium, and it's already unraveling here, but it sounds like the Supreme Court ruled on one case and then Biden tried a different way and that got taken up in the Supreme Court.
Right.
And it
so if
expired
that
eventually.
was Trump though, if the
But that's
Supreme
not
Court
that's
ruled
not
in
what
that
Trump
one
is.
case.
But hold on, Amy, that's not what Trump is doing. Trump is just
So you guys are saying they ruled in the case of that one guy to get deported.
No,
and now
there are other cases as well,
is
but
terrible, right?
But Amy, here's the thing: that Trump is not trying to go around it. He's just saying, "I don't care." The guy's not
That's
coming. Back.
exactly
He's
how
not trying
Biden
to
was
reference
to
another
everybody
law or
else, though. That's what I'm saying to you. Is you might think that, but that is not actually what's
No, I
happening.
do know
He's
that.
going around
this
it
is
legally as
reality.
well.
This is can you provide any evidence that Donald Trump is trying to find a legal reason to keep Kilmar Abrego out of this country?
But just that one person that's that one person.
Yeah, so
what I'm saying is you are using that to say, and what the Democrats have done is using that one case to say he needs to stop deporting everybody, and that's not.
No one's saying that. No one's saying that.
No one's saying that.
Okay, so this one case, you're minimizing it. This is a violation of not only someone's human rights, but their constitutional rights.
So just so we're all on the same page for the facts, this man should not have gone back to that country, right? But he should have been deported.
Well, the
No,
government
after his due process.
Deportation.
The government
he
had-
had a legal court-ordered deportation.
No, but the
Yes,
government
he
had
did.
the government had the option to deport him to a third country if they're willing to take him.
And
But
they
it's
should
not
have.
common.
And they should have. But that's
Amy,
what
hold
I'm saying.
on.
We're arguing just that he shouldn't have
No.
gone to that country.
Well,
correct?
yes, that's what the Supreme Court said, but it's not common to be sent to a third country. So it's not that.
No,
it's,
and I don't.
It's normal that
Again,
he's
I
staying.
didn't say I agree with being sent there. That
Okay.
is his home country, though.
That's
But
I get that the
but it was
court said
specifically
that they-
ruled.
exactly.
It was
Yep.
specifically ruled in 2019 that he is not to
Not
go back to that
supposed to go.
country.
Exactly.
That's why
Yep.
there was a 9-0. I don't think you understand
We're all
how
on the same understanding, though, that when he comes back, he still has a deportation notice, correct?
that if he faces his due process and ends up being deported to a third country.
No, he already had a deportation notice.
Yes, but you have to understand, to cancel his withholding of removal order and send him to El Salvador, they would have to show it's safe for him. Or they could send him to a third country if one's willing to take him. But they didn't do that.
They didn't do that, but he still has a deportation notice.
I also really want to point something out, and I know it's not necessarily a legal argument, but the difference here is Donald Trump is ignoring a Supreme Court order that violates a person's human rights. Joe Biden tried to find a legal way around a Supreme Court order. Hold on. Just please, for the love of God, just let me finish the sentence. Let me finish, please. Just let me finish the sentence. No, Starscream, it's fine. It's fine. You don't have to mute, unless it gets too out of hand. Okay. So Joe Biden tried to find a legal method around a Supreme Court order that was protecting Freddie Mae and Fannie Mac, or Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, right? Like the difference here in terms of morality, if we put the legal stuff aside, because even the legal stuff is dubious, because you have no evidence that Donald Trump's trying to find a legal way to keep Kilmar Garcia out of this country. Even if you did, though, to compare these is night and day. It's like the Supreme Court protecting the powers that be versus the Supreme Court protecting human rights.
So I think what you've just demonstrated is the biggest difference between Republicans and Democrats is that not paying what you owe and having somebody who, like, if I was a landlord with Section 8 housing, which I have multiple friends who are landlords with Section 8 housing, and I get no money for months and months and months and months and months, years, and the Supreme Court rules that that's wrong, how is that not an issue that you care about?
Wait, that's not, no, you just changed the
the
topic to the moratorium. We were talking about the student loan forgiveness.
But what I'm saying is you're demonstrating the difference between Democrats and Republicans.
Right, Democrats care about human rights and Republicans care about money to interest. You're right. That's a good point.
And so what I'm saying is what you don't understand is I think a lot of Republicans or conservatives see that money as like what I'm cooking my kids' food with and how I'm able to provide for my family. Section 8 housing is owned by citizens.
Okay, no, stop. You keep doing this. You keep going back to the moratorium, but we're talking about the student loan forgiveness. The student loan forgiveness ruling.
Because you don't want to talk about the rent.
Because when we talk about that, it's clear that you're wrong about the timeline. And I'm really important to go over that if you'd like. That you're wrong about that one too, just like you're wrong about the four-nation parole system.
So the paroles, that is an actual thing, and you can Google that.
Biden won the court case. Are you guys for the law or not? Law and order or no?
What's hard now is that, like, how is it that there are the real stats that everything Biden said was going to happen with that policy didn't happen, and then the court say, well, that's okay. I mean, that's what's hard about it for everybody.
Okay, so you disagree with the courts, is what you're saying. All right, so you don't care about the courts. You just care about your vibes.
No, I do care about the courts. 100% I care about the courts. What I'm saying is that what you're arguing and what you're saying, if I could have my computer up, it would be greater. But
I offered you multiple times to tab out and pull up.
You're going to always find this massive divide. And what I'm trying to do is help you understand the other side and let you know that there are things that you didn't even know about.
The reason we didn't know about it. The reason we didn't know about it.
People are saying that's okay for you to get them out because they were mad.
Hold on. The reason we didn't know about it is because your talking point was a lie. We had to look up this talking point that you got from DuckDuckGo. That's why we didn't know. You were implying that Joe Biden ignored a court order. In reality, his administration defeated Texas and other anti-immigrant states in court. He was legally in the right. That's why we didn't know about it, because it's a talking point on the Truth Social. It's not a talking point in the reality. That's why we had to look it up. And once we looked it up, it was clear that it was a lie.
Go a little further and look at the law that he used to implement that mass parole thing and look at how it's been used in the past and how he used it. I have to get off to feed my kids, but I hope that you guys just take a second, take a breath, realize that we're not so far apart, that I'm not just spouting crazy things, that there could be a way that both sides view this as both sides not adhering to court order is all I'm saying.
Except one side is adhering to court orders and the other isn't. Right. It's like the opposite. Yeah. So you're right. If we ignore reality, you're right. We're not very far apart.
Well, look, I appreciate her bringing up that talking point. That's why I love these debates, because I haven't heard that talking point brought up. I've heard about the student loan. Yeah. I haven't heard about so it must be something going around in the MAGA universe. So good for us to hear about it. Look it up. As far as I can tell, the reason why we didn't know about it is because this goes back to 2021. And we can't be experts on everything. So, but it looks like the Supreme Court they allowed Biden's eviction moratorium to go till it was set to expire anyways. Brett Kavanaugh gave the 5-4 vote or whatever. But then Biden tried again, which Trump can do. If he lost 9-0 on deporting this Kilmar guy, if he wanted to try a different legal route, he could do that. And Biden did say at the time, it looks like, I think this is on shaky ground, but it'll buy us some more time. Which, I guess if that's her complaint, then sure, I think it's a valid complaint. But the point is that Biden tried a different legal route, unlike Trump, who's just flat out ignoring the Supreme Court.
Yeah. And then when pushed on the fact that Biden won the cases regarding the parole system, she essentially criticized the courts. And I mean, that's fine, but we're talking about completely different things here. If you want to criticize those court cases, that's fine, but don't bring it up as if Biden went around the court cases. So
yeah, and the executive branch gets a lot of leeway with immigration policy, like who they let in and how they let them in. I mean, that is something that we accept. Now, these guys are frustrated because it takes a lot of work to kick people out. But when it comes to letting people in, they have a lot of wiggle room there.
Yeah. Did I miss a Santana raid? Welcome in, Santana Raiders. Welcome in. Love you guys. Also, I want to thank whoever sent that dino. Let me see here. Alter Ego, thank you for the dino. Thank you, everybody, for the heart me's. If you're here for the first time, thank you so much for joining. We're live.
I did everything right, and they indicted me.
Thank you, Emmy, so much. If you're here for the first time, we're live Thursdays to Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern, doing live political debates, political discussions, and fact checks. We also try to be live for all major political events. So if you like this content, drop a follow, tap the screen. If you're not following, I'm really important. He also does political content. He does debates.
I love Tesla.
Thank you so much, Kavin. I don't know how much time you spend in my lives, but it can get chaotic when people start sending the gifts.
A lot of fun alerts.
One of these days you got to see an Obama filibuster. When we get
Obama.
Yeah. Thank you, Grammar. When we get like a truly like hateful, vitriolic guest, and people just don't want to hear them, they just drop the Obama filibuster.
That's great.
I'm blowing out my damn throat.
Thank you, Emmy. Oh shit! Someone on Discord DM'd me asking where that clip is from, and I haven't responded. It's been like 5 days. If you've DM'd me in the past 30 days, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Melissa, thank you for the sharing crab. All right. Yeah. So follow IRI if you're not already. For those that are gifting, thank you all so much. The gifts are much appreciated, but nobody has to gift, nobody has to sub. I'm just asking that you make sure you're following. Just double check next to the name. If there's an orange or a gray heart, you're good to go. If there's a red oval, you gotta hit sub. Go to the next or hit follow. Going to the next guest now. Also, if at any point you want to if shout something out that I'm not aware of, feel free.
Okay, I'll keep it in mind. I will look further into this Supreme Court eviction moratorium. It's an interesting talking point. So
yeah,
I think it's something worth looking into. But I have a feeling she's going to be proven wrong.
Nigga, package out for you. Nigga, package out for you.
Okay.
Wow, a failure of parenting.
Yeah. It's it's a long. They don't have school tomorrow, so or sorry, on Monday, so they got a long weekend.
Mom and Dad let them stay up late.
Yeah.
Careful, they might hear you, ground you.
Going to the next guest. Here we go. Hey, Deridian. Oklahoma school system, I'm sure. Oof. Hi, welcome up. Aja? Lovely Ginger said yes, she was wrong. Biden complied with SCOTUS on the rent case.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm seeing in it. There was already going to be an expiration date, and so Brett Kavanaugh said, I would have ruled against this, but we'll just let it go. And then Biden might have tried something else to buy a little more time.
Yeah.
That was
Azure,
rental assistant, by the way. She brought up a point. She's like, oh, all these landlords missed out on their rent. That's not true. There was like billions and billions of dollars that were given to tenants to pay their landlords.
That's right. There was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Oh man, going back and thinking about the amount of money in like the PPP stuff and like all the COVID relief, like obviously so much of it was necessary, but there was so much going to rich people. Oh my God, the forgiven loans. Like wasn't it MTG got a forgiven loan? A bunch of other people got like 6-figure forgiven loans. Wild.
Yeah, it's huge.
Okay, this guest doesn't seem to be here. Why you letting people on your side accept me? I don't know what that means.
Bring them up.
All right, go to the next. Hey, Erica. Go to the next guest. Oh, here they are.
Yo,
Hi, welcome up.
What's up,
what's
Mickey?
up? What's your what's this prompt up here? Republicans don't care about you, prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Like that's just like that's not true at all.
Oh, okay. Well, can you tell me in what thing Republicans
Okay,
have?
I'll tell you this. I'll just answer straight up. I'm Republican and I care about Democrats. Like, what does that mean? I
Well,
just
the
like
prompt is about Republican politicians. The people you vote for don't care about you.
okay, Republican politicians. Let's talk about Trump, for example. He's banning under 18-year-olds from doing transgender surgery. He's looking out for their best interests. Boom. I bet all transgender people are probably liberals. So
What about
Like,
Caitlyn Jenner?
the Kardashian dad,
Yes.
So
Republican?
Yes.
she is a
Hardcore
Republican. Yes. She's a Republican and also like anti-LGBTQ. It's really weird. But
Okay, so obviously she's mentally ill. So why are we listening to her?
okay.
How's she
So
against what she?
you said that Republicans care about you by banning transgender surgery below 18. So first of all, people under 18 aren't getting transition surgery. You know that, right?
Well, good.
Okay. So how does this help you at all in any way, shape, or form?
Well, I'm speaking about for the liberals, how it helps them out. I
No,
think like
no, none of us are asking for that. So like I'm asking how they care about you. See, the prompt says Republicans don't care about you. So in what way do
Okay,
they care about?
well-
Can you give us an example? A single one?
Yeah, why
Yeah.
did you vote for Trump? Just tell us why you voted for Trump. Maybe that can get us there.
Well, I voted for Trump purely because he was the better option. I'm not fully in agreement with him, to be fair.
Uh-oh.
So,
The
Okay.
support
I'm
is falling apart.
well, I'm not gonna waste my vote on Kamala. I'm gonna vote for Trump.
All right. So,
You know-
but you recognize then that Trump doesn't care about you. You just voted for him because you didn't want to vote for Kamala. Right.
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay. We're on the same. All right. So actually, now we're at a. This is good. This is good. We've come to a form of agreement. We both agree that Trump doesn't care about us. So now I want to know why you didn't vote for Kamala.
Well, Kamala is just like, I think she's incompetent for the position of being the president. Like, she's not qualified.
So you don't think her resume was strong? I mean, she was a senator, attorney
I
general of
watched her.
California.
I watched her speak.
Uh-huh.
Like, I watched one of her. She was, I don't know, in what state? Pennsylvania, maybe one of the swing states.
Yeah.
you don't answer?
Hold up.
No, wait. Let's talk to him.
Thanks.
I did.
Okay, I think that what's her called? What's her name? Kamala. She's just like, I watched her speak about buses. Like, what the fuck is she talking about?
Okay.
You know
I'm
what
gonna.
saying?
All right. So here's what I'm gonna do. Okay. So if I can demonstrate to you that Trump, all of the criticisms you have for Kamala are worse on Trump's side, would you agree that maybe there's another reason you didn't vote for Kamala?
Well, I don't want her pushing the liberal like propaganda on everybody.
Okay.
Like,
Now we're getting somewhere. So the other one was bullshit, right? Because you know that Donald Trump doesn't know how to answer questions. He does the weave. When asked about how he would lower childcare prices in this country, he said childcare is childcare. When asked about how he would keep auto jobs in this country, he started talking about that he was man of the year 20 years ago. He thinks. Hold on, I'll just play this one real quick. This is one of our favorites.
Windmills are driving the whales crazy, obviously.
He was complimenting Arnold Palmer's penis when talking about politics. Like, I just don't understand. I don't understand how you can look at both of those candidates and think that Kamala is the one that doesn't speak in a qualified manner.
isn't Trump the most like transparent president with the people?
So if you consider access to be transparency, then yeah, but he just talks to the cameras and lies like a waterfall out of his mouth all day long. That's not transparency.
You guys think that Obama and Biden and Kamala wouldn't lie?
I don't. What's a lie? That,
oh God, this pivot. Okay, so yes, I do think Kamala would lie. So we did a hey Quinn, I'm gonna finish this point. I'm gonna let you go. We did a fact check on the only Kamala Trump debate. As a reminder, Donald Trump has said before the debate that if somebody doesn't accept a rematch for a debate, that probably means they lost the first debate. And then Donald Trump didn't accept the rematch. So this was the only Kamala Trump debate. We did a fact check. All right, we brought up Trump supporters to debunk my fact check afterwards. It was hours long. Kamala lied 7 times during that debate, which is bad. She should not have lied 7 times. Donald Trump lied 60 times. Do you think those are the same?
No, that's worse. But are you guys Kamala supporters or just Trump haters?
I supported Kamala in the election. She's not currently running for office, but yeah, I'm a Kamala supporter. Hey, Quinn.
I have Trump derangement.
Hey, how you doing? Sorry, I gotta fix my thing real quick. 1 second, y'all.
Well, do you mind if I ask you why you like Kamala?
Would you like to go first, or should I?
Yeah, I would just say what I saw in the 4 years of Biden Kamala, I want another 8 years of that. And she had some great policies, man. She wanted to help small business owners by 10 times in the small business tax deduction. She wanted to help out new parents. Oh, you probably want to have kids one day if you don't have them already. And she wanted to hook up new parents with 3 times in the child tax credit, put $6,000 in your pocket, stuff like that.
She also had 4 separate policies for reducing the cost of living in this country, whereas Donald Trump had 0. He had 4.
Okay.
Hey, I'm lagging, so I'm gonna drop out and then your request back up.
Okay, sounds good.
And look what's going on now, Nikki. I mean, the business community is frozen because of Trump's tariffs. Nobody knows what to do as he plays footsie with all these trade deals and all that. So this is
I think
not good.
I think the trade deals are good. I know it's being bad on the economy right now.
Yeah.
But I think like Americanizing companies and like stop exports and really do like imports from our own nation, it'd be good for the like long run of our country. Like maybe in a couple of years we'll start seeing good effects.
Yeah, but we just saw our credit rating downgraded. You know, we're on the precipice of recession if we're not already there. This is all for some.
I saw Trump admit on news like live that like he knows, he's aware that it's bad right now and stuff's not going good for the economy, but to just like trust the process and it'll be good.
Yeah, but how long
He's
is the
aware
process?
that it's bad.
Are you willing to accept 3 years of thousands of dollars?
As a like a patriot and a nationalistic person, I would wait 3 years of it being a little bit bad and then it being better.
I have just a quick question on that, and then we're gonna circle back to a previous topic. We already saw him lose a trade war in his first term. Why would we now wait to see him lose another one, a bigger one? We saw the United States having to bail out soybean farmers in this country, bail out the big ones. The small ones are gone. They went out of business. We saw the rising cost of steel and lumber because of retaliatory tariffs. We saw this in his first term. This was an open book test, and 77 million people flunked it. Hey, Quinn.
Hey, how you guys doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Hey, you doing okay, Nikki? How you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I just wanted to touch on something. I think that either you're a really good troll or you're being highly disingenuous with your points of why you voted for Donald Trump. I think either you're a troll or it's all rooted in hate and bigotry. And I think that's why you did the things that you did, or you're trying to defend the thing that you do. And I say that because as soon as you came in, you put it on really strong about how like you don't like trans people and how like everybody's mentally ill and stuff like that, when I can guarantee that you probably don't know even like anything about trans people or know even the process that people have to go through to do the things that they're doing. And I'm assuming that you think that everybody's just like cutting off their parts left and right and doing all these things that aren't even actually happening, especially children.
Okay. So if I said that, what's her name? The transgender Jenner? What's her name?
Caitlyn Jenner.
Okay, Caitlyn, how does she not support what she is? She's obviously crazy.
Well,
that's
I
what I said.
understand what you're asking. I was saying that my point was as soon as you came into the live, you came swinging at trans people.
Dan said that she's transgender and she does not support LGBTQ.
Yeah, just like somebody could be like of the LGBTQ community and still like portray homophobic traits or like things like that. You know, it'd still be, you can be a cis male and be gay and be transphobic. It's you know.
Yeah, I mean, think about how many immigrants voted for Trump.
I'm an immigrant. I voted for Trump.
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
It's just like
I wasn't aware that there was LGBTQ people against LGBTQ. Like I didn't even think
There's
about that.
people of all kinds of everybody that are against everybody, man. It's not like just black and white. Like you think
Okay.
that like I don't understand what you're I think that you what I'm saying that I came in here and saying is like you joined this live swinging at trans people and I'm saying that you're
Okay.
defending these points. I think in a
So
like being very disingenuous. I think that you are
Quinn,
rooted in
everyone.
bigotry and hate, and I think that's why that you're doing the things that you're doing.
So there's no hate. There's no bigotry. In America, you're allowed to have your opinion.
Brother,
And
you came in
from
saying
a
that like people
religious
are just
from a
mentally ill
religious
because they're living their
standpoint,
own lives and you're lying about like trans people.
from
I don't understand how you're saying that.
my own personal view and my religious standpoint on life, I don't agree with the LGBTQ. Doesn't mean I hate you guys. I'm not going to come yelling at you guys. I don't care. Live your
Isn't
life.
that exactly what you did as soon as you joined the live?
No, that's why I'm saying I voted for because he doesn't like
It
he
seems like
stands
you're
more
not
on
keeping
my.
the same energy that you had as soon as you joined
You
when
can't
I'm
hate me for
questioning you
something that
about your point.
I'm not doing.
You hate me and you don't even know me is what I'm saying. I guarantee
Well,
you
I
probably
said
don't even know a trans person and you came in here
I'm
saying that
telling
they're
you
just
right now,
mentally ill
Quinn.
and
Can I
lying
tell
about
you?
what they're doing to children.
Hey Quinn, I don't hate you. So boom, I just disproved you. I'm telling you right now, I don't hate you.
Hey, Emmy.
So I don't know what you're.
Nikki, I
You
gotta
can't
ask a
speak for me. You
question.
know?
Hi, Nikki. My name's Emmy. I'm a
Uh,
trans woman as well. My pronouns are she, her. You came in here and right away your whole thing was about how you wanted Trump in office because you don't like that trans people have rights and that trans people get the health care that they need. And yet you are
I did
sitting
not
here.
say that. I said I don't like under 18-year-olds cutting off their private parts. I
And
There
think
they're
you
not
their
go.
brain
doing
doesn't.
that.
Exactly. So hang on. That is a
Most
misinformation. And the fact that you think that it's true and that you don't like that means that you have a problem with trans people getting the health care that they need. Even if that was something that was happening and it's not something that is happening, I'd like to see your
okay.
proof that it's happening. You are saying that you do not want trans people to get the health care they need. And you want to sit here and say you don't hate us, that you just want us to leave you alone. That's what we want too.
No,
We want you to
you
leave
guys don't
us the
need to
fuck
leave.
alone.
So
You
during
don't need to leave me alone. I
so
don't need to leave you alone.
so
We could be
during
friends,
during
as a
this
matter of
that's
fact.
during
Wait,
this
you voted
campaign,
against our rights. How
you
can we be
voted against our
friends?
rights. Against
I
this
didn't
last
vote against.
campaign,
Are you guys over 18?
they spent $215 million, I believe it was, against attack ads against trans people alone. And we make up
Okay,
like 1% of the United States population.
I wasn't aware of that.
Nikki, let me ask you a question. Which party do you think during this last election spoke more about trans people and trans rights?
Trans rights,
Yeah,
for it or against it?
it doesn't matter. Which party do you think had trans people as a talking point for their side more than the other?
I'd like to say Kamala, but I'm thinking it's Trump.
Okay, so we just heard from Quinn, who is completely correct that there was over $200 million spent by Republicans on anti-trans ads during this campaign. Okay, do you know how many times Kamala actually spoke about trans people in her entire fucking campaign?
Tell me.
One time,
One time.
when she was specifically asked about the immigrants in prison being able to get transgender health care, and you know what she said?
What'd she say?
She said, "We will follow the letter of the law." That is it. That is all she said
Really?
about trans people. And yes, that means she hung us out to dry. And yes, I am pissed the fuck off about it because the right sat there and spent hundreds of millions of dollars to completely destroy 1% of the population that just wants to be left alone, like we have been for all of the
I
entirety of
love
the
Tesla.
existence.
I love
And
Tesla.
yet we end up with you sitting here saying that the left talked too much about it.
Doesn't
The
it
left didn't
bother
talk
you?
enough about it.
Doesn't it bother you that the
Obama.
person running for president spent so much time talking about 1% of the population in correlation to things like the 16 athletes that are in like the NCAA was
Under
such a
10,
huge
actually.
sorry, under 10. Okay, I have my information
Yeah,
wrong.
I think that
Under
they.
10.
Out my damn
Doesn't
throat.
that bother you? Doesn't it bother you that the president of the United States was up there saying things like kids are going to school and
I'm
20
gonna mute sound
homes
alerts
are
for a
of
second,
different
chat.
gender? Doesn't that like bother you at all? Don't you think that's like something completely insane to say?
Nikki, were you listening? Thank you, Kristen.
Hello.
Sorry, I turned off the sound alerts for just the rest of this conversation. Nikki, were you listening?
Okay, so who was talking, Emmy or Quinn?
We
I
both
was
said
talking.
quite a bit, but
Okay, so
Quinn had said some stuff there. Yeah, sorry.
okay, so for what you said about them talking like too much and giving too much money for like less than 1% of the population, I definitely agreed with that. Like that's dumb to be. That's not like on the list of issues, you know. That's not like a top like
Then
priority.
why was
So,
it one of the first things that he signed was like his executive orders about trans people?
And why was
well,
it the first thing you brought up when you came up here?
well, it was just an easy topic for me because I think that Trump, like, like his moral beliefs, he believes in two genders. That's what I believe in. So I just align with him more. That's why I voted for him. I don't know. You guys can't personally attack me for my viewpoint on America. I'm like me and half of Americans, over half actually, voted for Trump. I have
So
So
you
no
don't
issues. I'm
think
not
that we should be
racist. I'm
able
not
to say that
homophobic.
your viewpoint of
I just
thinking
think
that
there's
we
two
shouldn't
religions, like
exist is
Adam and Eve.
wrong?
You know, Christianity. There's
So
no
what about
problem.
the so hang on, can I ask you about the verse then in Galatians where it talks about how there is no longer Jew nor Gentile, nor slave nor free, nor man nor woman, but everyone is equal under God's eye. But they're like if you want to because a lot of people want to use that verse to
Yeah.
excuse the slavery that the Bible promotes, but then they don't want to turn around and acknowledge that in the same verse, if they were to apply their logic consistently, that they would also have to acknowledge that there is no such thing as a difference between man and woman and that everything in between is fine
So
too.
so here's my answer to that. So you said everyone's born in God's image, and I am a firm believer of that. But
So
people
is
are
God the
born.
Father a man?
God's the father of everything.
But is he a man?
No, not a man, not a woman. He's God's
So why
God.
do we use so why do we use he him pronouns for them?
Okay, God. I'll just say God. No he, no him, no she. God Himself or her,
Well, you just said
itself. God
himself.
itself. God itself.
Okay,
Sorry.
so God's
God,
non-binary.
So God is
God's
God
not.
is
non-binary.
non-binary. Got it.
Okay. He made people in His image. He made people. When you were born, I don't know what
So
you
he
are
made
now. But
non-binary people in his image.
well, there was girls and there's guys. You know, you're born a girl or a guy, right?
I mean, can you concede that you just admitted that since God is non-binary, that he and that we are made in His image, that that He made non-binary people in His image?
Well, how are you born non-binary? I think if you're born with like a specific body part, you're a guy or a girl.
You just said that God is non-binary and we are made in His image, so He
Hmm.
made non-binary people in His image. Did He not?
You
Acknowledge
can't
that you just
compare.
conceded that.
You can't compare humans to God. God's
Can you
God.
just go on
You're,
Google for me for 1 second, Nikki, and type in the word intersex, please, as well? Like, I don't feel. I feel like this is a term you've never heard before.
I think Nikki thinks God is like a Ken doll with no genitals.
yeah, he's not a person, bro.
Then why do you use he/him pronouns?
Okay, I said God, it, them. I don't know
You
what
keep
you want me
going
to
back to
call it.
that
Yeah.
though. Like,
So if you are admitting that God's pronouns are they, them, that God has no gender, then you are
Okay.
admitting that non-binary people, agender people, they are all made in God's image just as He designed them in His
Well,
image.
what even is a non-binary person? Like,
A non-binary person is someone who does not identify as either a man or a woman. Sometimes they identify as both or neither, or they
okay.
identify as slightly more masculine, slightly more feminine, but they don't feel like they align with either gender roles as prescribed by society or align in their body that way.
I feel like if you just talk to more people instead of spending this much time on like X and Truth Social, you would, open your mind.
I would ask Nikki, how does any of this impact you in any way at all? Like, there's
That's a
tons of
great
people out there
question.
doing stuff I disagree with, and I'm like, that, I don't know about that. That's different. I'm uncomfortable. But it's not my business. There's people who swing from the ceiling wearing a diaper with their partner and stuff. I don't know. People do all sorts of things, but why do you care?
Sorry, I'm back.
So
I'm back.
much?
Yeah, how does anything that I or Emmy does, how does anything that she does bother you?
It doesn't bother me. I just don't agree with it.
But why do you
Why do
even
you
think
think you
about
should
it for 1
legislate what
second?
we do then?
Well, I'm telling you, this is I'm backing up my view on this on my religion.
So you think
Yeah,
that law should be based in religion?
No, what's the First Amendment? Doesn't it give all of us the same rights? I'm for the amendment.
But you're for legislating laws based upon your religion, correct?
But I mean, you can't do anything if you're under 18. Why can you make a decision that big about your body when you're under 18?
But
So
it's not parents
do
able
you
to help them
understand the
make
process
decisions?
that people under
And you
18
don't.
go through when they come
He
out as
does not.
trans?
Well,
You
no.
can.
Well, so wait. So do you agree? Do you guys? Do you two, Emmy and Quinn? Do y'all agree that under 18 should be able to have these surgeries that they can
So
never
actually,
undo?
no, I don't believe that someone under 18 should be able to have bottom surgery unless there are very specific extenuating circumstances. But let me ask you, what do you, I just want to know what you, in your opinion, when let's say someone who is 12 years old comes out as transgender and to their parents or to a teacher, whatever it might be, what do you think that process looks like, and how soon do you think they are eligible to get any sort of surgery or hormones?
Okay, I think that process looks like the parents either disagree with it and don't let them pursue that, or they like are for that type of stuff and like just go up to a doctor and the doctor asks the kid like, "Are you sure
Yeah, I
you want
think
to
she
do
was.
this?" Like, I don't
I
know.
think she was asking what the timeline, like how
Yeah,
long
like
do you
what's the
think it
timeline
takes?
for the family
Like how
that's
long until they
affirming,
could put?
right? Yeah, like what does the process look like? What does the timeline
Well,
look
I'm
like between the
assuming.
time that they come out to their affirming parent to the time they get any sort of gender affirming hormones, puberty blockers, or
Okay,
surgeries?
let's say they find out. Let's say they make this decision when they're 12. Maybe they'll come out to the parents when they're 14, 15. I
No,
mean,
I already
maybe.
laid out the scenario for you. I'm just asking. They're 12 years old. They came out. What does that timeline? What's the first step that parent that affirming parent takes?
Well, I think either takes them to a doctor or takes them to a therapist. I don't know, to talk it out. I don't
Okay.
know.
And then what does that therapist do? Do you think that they assign them directly to a surgery, to hormones, something like that?
I think they, from their like experience and for their degree that they have, they try to find out if like it's like if the kid's sure about it or like just tripping. I don't know.
Do you
And
think we
then they
have a
try.
process for this that's already
I
prescribed
there's
based on
probably I
evidence-based
think there's
science?
rules to follow. I don't know, like checkpoints. Like if the kid pursues it for longer than 6 months, then maybe take him to a doctor.
Well, so it's called WPATH, by the way. WPATH is the path that we follow when it comes to these things. And so when the child goes to therapy, right? They talk with the therapist. They assess these things over a long period of time, typically a year or 2 years even, where they assess these things to make sure that this is persistent and insistent and consistent. It's not just the kid has a whim one day that they want to wear a skirt, and then next thing you know, they're getting hormone blockers, they're getting puberty blockers and hormones and surgeries and things. This takes years.
Okay,
And
well,
the only gender affirming surgeries that take place under 18. Now there are the very like one or two statistical outliers. They're very, very rare. That are outside of that are top surgery. And you know who the majority of people who get top surgery as gender affirming care under 18 is?
You ready for this?
It's cis boys, not trans people. Boys who were born boys and identify as boys, but they have a condition called gynecomastia,
Mastia.
where they develop naturally female breasts, and is embarrassing as fuck for that young boy. And so they end up going and getting top surgery so that they can actually feel like the gender that they were born as and not be able to like and not be getting teased for it. It's not even trans kids that get the majority of these surgeries.
well, I don't think they put boys with gynos under therapy to get approval to remove that extra fat.
I think the point that she's making is that the most people that are getting gender affirming surgeries are cis males.
Yes, under
Well,
18. Yes,
yeah.
Under
minors.
18. So minors that you have a problem with getting, so you're saying that
Okay,
they're
so
getting
let
all these
me
surgeries.
let
The
me
most
clarify my
surgeries that
stance then.
the minors are getting are cis
Minors,
males.
minors of the opposite gender who want to switch to the opposite gender shouldn't be able to do that under 18.
They don't. That's what we're
I think
saying.
she
The
already
majority of them
explained
are
this to
boys
you.
who are boys getting this top surgery to remove real breast tissue, not just extra fat, real breast tissue that they've developed that they cannot live with without being ridiculed for it. Then the other large portion of this are people who are women, girls who have who need like breast reductions.
Can I just ask a
Okay.
quick question, Nikki? Does it bother you
Yes,
that
sir.
the first reason you mentioned when we asked why you voted for Trump, the first reason you mentioned, you were so adamant about it, was something that it's clear you like know damn near nothing about? Does it bother you that you made a decision to vote for somebody based on something you just don't know anything about.
Okay, let me say this. It doesn't bother me that I said that because it would have still been one of my reasons. But I wasn't going in order of priorities. That was just one of the many reasons.
We're just
There's many
talking about
others.
how like emotional you were about that. It's clear that you have some rooted hate for our community when you don't even
Well,
know
I'm
the
telling you
slightest
right
thing
now.
about us.
I
And
have
I
a
will
gay
point to the
uncle.
fact
I don't live
that,
with me. He's
okay,
my
don't
father.
tokenize your uncle and
Okay.
being, and listen, sexuality and
I
gender
don't hate
identity
you
are
guys.
not the same
You got
thing.
to stop
Don't
using the word
tokenize
hate.
your uncle. I think what we're trying to get at here is that the fact that you didn't even come up with this being a priority at the front of your mind to talk about as just one of the things, and yet naturally it was the first thing that you brought up, actually points to how much you think about this and how much you care about this more than if you had said that this was a major priority to me.
It's one of the
Because
main
it shows
things
that
that
deep
Trump
down in you, it
campaigned.
has to be the first thing you had to say on this live.
No, let me tell you
I'm
something.
crashing
Trump
out here too.
campaigned a lot about economy, about foreign policy, about LGBTQ. Dan asked me, why do I support Trump? I gave him the main campaigning reasons, which I all support.
That wasn't the
I
first reason
support
you
him
mentioned.
economically.
Wasn't the
I
first reason you
support him
mentioned.
with his moral, like with his personal viewpoints on like life and stuff. I agree with him. I agree with him trying to end the wars in Ukraine and trying to end the wars in the Middle East. I agree with Trump on like pretty much all the things he like the
So
border. Is
of
that
those
not a
three
problem?
things
Like,
of the board, hang on, of okay, so we mentioned foreign policy, economy, and the border, and then we
border,
also mentioned trans people, right? Out of
true.
those four things, which of those do you think holds a bigger weight in our country and is doing more destruction to our country that you think Trump needed to address and is a bigger priority to maybe even talk about on this live?
For me personally, foreign policy.
Okay, so maybe the
Americans,
next time you come on a live,
economy.
instead of spewing your bigotry and hate and uninformed opinions and your total lack of knowledge about a topic, maybe start with something that actually affects the majority of the population here.
If we want to go from like main population to least population, I could go in order, but I didn't know I had to follow a specific order.
You don't. What I'm suggesting here is that there is a reason that is deep seated inside of you that you can't even recognize right now that made trans people the first thing out of your mouth. When you can sit here and clearly acknowledge that there are so many more pressing issues in our country than 1% of the population living their lives that nobody had a single problem with before 2015. Trump is the reason you have a problem with this. You realize that the only reason you have a problem with trans people is because you've been told to have a problem with trans people. You're that soft-minded and weak.
Damn, clock 'em, girl.
I mean, it's true because before
So do
2015,
you?
nobody gave a fuck about us. And then in
I mean,
2015, when gay marriage was legalized, they had to find another scapegoat because they realized that they couldn't win attacking gay people. Do you know what they call us? Right? There's a word that starts with a G that they call trans people like us. It sounds like broomer. What is it?
Ugh.
I actually don't know.
Yeah, they call us
Come on, man.
groomers. Do you know what they called gay people before gay marriage was? What the biggest argument against gay marriage was?
What was that?
That if we let gay people get married, then that's going to lead to wanting to let people get married to children. That they're PDF files and that they're
Okay, but
groomers. They use the
why are you
same
grouping them?
argument. That's just how easy it is for you guys to be fooled. You
Dude,
can't
you
even
understand?
recognize when the same thing has been
Why do
thrown
you
at you.
say
You
why do you say
understand
you
that they
guys
think that like
as if I address gay people as groomers? I just never even thought about that. I didn't even know about it.
I'm educating you on the history here and how easy it is for you to not even notice that the same exact rhetoric that they use on us right now is the same exact rhetoric they used on gay people just to be able to demonize us, to be able to win the evangelical right like yourself.
yeah, one of the
I'm not
rhetorics that they
angelical,
use against
by the way.
specifically trans women right now is the fact that we just do what we do in our everyday lives and live the way that we do so we can hide in bathrooms and attack women. You get that right. They think that we're doing what we do so we can hide in bathrooms and attack cisgendered women.
Well, that's not what I think.
Do you think it's dangerous for trans women like myself and Quinn to be able to use women's restrooms? Because I have a
Um,
really strong point here I want you to hear. Do you think that trans women should be allowed to use women's restrooms, or do you think that we should have to use the men's restroom?
So if you're
Or more
transgender
specifically,
and
do you think that you should have to use the bathroom that is assigned with your biological sex, as they would say?
I think it should be depending on the private part. So if you removed it, then go to the other one. If you have the male genitals, go to the guy
Then
one.
So
don't
there's two things there, Nikki. Two things there. Okay, number one, who the fuck is going to enforce that? Because I don't know about you, but I don't think anyone's going to stand outside
Well,
of a bathroom and
I'm
start
not
doing
saying put
genital
police.
checks. Okay, number one.
Listen.
Number two, that also means that you want trans men in the
Okay.
women's restroom who may not have had bottom surgery yet, but have a full-on beard and look like any other man that you would see walking down the street. And when they talk about this being about protecting women, I want to point out to you that when you are saying that, you want people who identify as men that look like men to be going into the women's restroom, which actually makes it easier for men who are not trans to just make their way into the women's restroom and go, but I'm trans. You're actually putting more women in danger. And now it's actually led to there was just another one recently, a cisgender woman who happens to be a masculine lesbian who just got the shit kicked out of her for using a bathroom in a McDonald's.
Wait, so you agree that
So what she's
so you
saying
think
is that when you force people to use the bathroom that's corresponding with the genitals that they have, if you're
well,
doing that to quote unquote protect cis women in their own bathrooms, then that would be forcing trans men, which were women who transitioned into men to fit their gender identity. You would force them
mhm.
to use the bathroom with cis women, which then opens the door to cis men just going into the bathroom with cis
So
women and just
you
claiming that they are
so
trans men. That's what she's
okay,
saying.
so
She's saying
that
that
means
by,
that
so she's
I
saying that
mean
by what you're doing by forcing people to use the bathroom that corresponds with their genitals, you're actually making women more like you're making more danger for them.
Yeah, you're making women
for the
less
woman.
safe.
Yeah, you're making them less safe by enforcing
So
people use the bathroom that corresponds
so
with the
then
genitals
where do
that they
you
have.
guys think that okay, so where do you think you should go to the bathroom if you're a
You
In
should use
whatever
the
transgender?
women's
restroom you
restroom, but
want
I think that
to.
you should use whatever restroom
Oh,
that you want to.
so they go into whatever they want.
So what I'm saying is that whatever bathroom that you are comfortable using that assigns that like if you're a woman and you
Okay.
identify as a woman, you should use a woman's restroom, and if you are a male and you identify as male, you should probably use the male's restroom. That's what I'm trying to say. So what
Mhm.
I'm trying to
Okay,
argue
but I
against
have
you
a
so what I'm trying to
okay,
say
I
to
have a
you is that
okay.
there
No,
are
I
people who are trans men, and if you force
okay.
trans men to use the restroom with cis women, then you're opening the door to cis men to just go in there and claim that they are trans men.
Yes.
Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah, okay. So then you're saying anyone could just say they want to go into anywhere.
Exactly. There
Okay.
you go. Now you get it.
Yep. You are saying that you want
So
men
how do
who
you
have
enforce that?
who you want men who have women's reproductive parts
Okay.
to be
Yeah.
using the women's restroom, which makes it easier for men who have men's reproductive parts to
Just
claim
go
that
into
they have
anywhere.
women's reproductive parts to use those restrooms and put women in danger.
Okay. No, yeah, totally agree with you, but
So basically, anybody who just looks like a
mhm,
cis male could just
mhm.
claim that they are a trans male and walk into a woman's restroom and just say that they are meant to use it because they are trans. Does that make
So
any
then
sense?
so
Yeah.
to prevent this, even if you so you guys are
To
saying if
prevent
you're
this, you allow people to use the bathroom that corresponds with their gender identity because it's
with their
more
gender
likely
identity.
that you would find somebody that's not claiming to be a trans man in the woman's restroom. Does that make sense to you?
So without putting law, so it's like preserve incentive. It's like the opposite actually happens
You are
from putting the
keeping
law.
women safer by not forcing trans men to use women's restrooms.
Well, because you see, that's what I thought was making it safer. Because why would I? Because the way I just thought about it, like I obviously didn't put a lot of thought into it, but I'm just thinking like a
It's
guy
because
with
they use it as a point to demonize us and make us seem
Right.
evil,
well,
man.
It's
That's
nobody
because
it.
even
they don't
told me.
talk about
That's
trans men. They don't care. They don't talk about
Yeah,
trans men.
they
They
don't
only
care
talk
about
about
trans
trans
men.
women. And I'll be honest with
oh,
you, in my suspicion, it's because a lot of men have a problem with the fact that we have betrayed our masculinity by being women, and that they actually feel personally attacked that the masculinity that they have set up and that we don't align with is something that's a threat to them. To be honest.
so is a trans man, by the way, to clear this up because I'm kind of confused. Is that a man who turned into a girl, or is that a girl
No,
who
no,
turned
no. A
into a man?
trans man is someone who is assigned female at birth and identifies as a man, and a
Yes.
trans woman is a
Okay.
woman who is assigned a male at birth and identifies as a woman.
Yes. So
Okay.
there's
When we
two
say
terms.
cis, when we say cis, by the way, cis is not a slur for anyone that wants to say that. Cis just simply means not trans.
Yes, so
So
there
cis
are
means like
cisgendered people, which would be somebody who identifies like Dan is a cis male because he was born
okay.
male and he identifies as a male. And then, there's people who are trans who do not identify with the same gender that they were born as. There's two terms. There's AMAB, which would be assigned male at birth. That means that you were born a boy. And then there's
Mhm.
a FAB, which is assigned female at birth. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. So a fab is a female who just stayed a female, and a cis is a guy who's just a guy.
There's a lot of terms being thrown around here. The most important thing for you to know is if trans comes before the gender identity, that
Mm-hmm.
means that that person is trans and identifies with the identity being stated. So trans
Okay.
woman is someone who has transitioned as a woman, right?
Man to a woman.
Right, and then yes, and then a
Okay.
cis
I understand.
person is someone who is not trans. So if it's a cis woman, that means a woman who is not trans.
Oh, so she could still be gay, but she's just not
Well, yeah,
trans.
because
Gender
sexuality
identity
and
and
gender have nothing to
sexuality
do
do
with each
not
other.
correlate. They don't need to
Okay.
be, you don't need to like males or cis men or anything like that to, if you are a trans woman. Specifically, I am a trans woman and I'm a lesbian. Like I'm married to my wife and I'm a
I'm a
girl.
trans woman and I'm pansexual. I'm all about hearts, not parts. I love despite someone's gender identity.
Yeah, so I transitioned into a woman, and despite the fact that I transitioned into a woman, I love and I'm married to my wife.
What? I don't know if this is relevant. Just out of curiosity, like what age did you guys transition?
I transitioned. I have never medically or surgically transitioned. I'm a socially transitioned woman, and that's
Oh.
completely different than if you want to get into that, that's something different. But I don't
So you
take
like
any.
you were
I'm not on
statistically
HRT, and I have not
gender.
had any surgeries or anything like that.
Oh.
I,
So
on the other
I
hand, I would say I knew when I was young, very much like 5 years old, but due to religious trauma in myself, I could not even identify this about myself until the last couple of years when I got divorced and was able to finally be able to be free from a lot of things that held me back. So I came out about a year and a half ago, and I started hormones, believe it or not, the day after the election. I woke up that morning being confirmed that Donald Trump was president, and at 8 a.m. I went right to my hormone appointment and I got on hormones. Didn't care.
Were you a Christian before?
I was a third generation Christian minister.
I was born into a Catholic family, and my mom is
Catholic,
very
yeah.
religious, and
That's
I
it's
always
just
knew that I felt the way that I did inside, and it was actually my wife that helped me through the feelings that I have and helped me reflect who I am on the inside, on the outside.
was
Also,
your
just so you know, I'll be 38 in August. So that's when I
I'm
came out. I was 36 when I came out.
I came out like
and
openly to the
was it
world
like
like
really
about
tough holding it in
two and
for
a
all
half
those
years.
years?
Of course it is. It's because we live our lives where everybody tells you that the way that you
Yeah,
feel and
yeah.
who you
I'm
are inside is wrong, and that they hate you and they want
you
to kill
see,
you and do
I'm
all these things
happy.
against
I'm
you.
actually really happy to hear your guys' story. I think that's great that you could
I
be
think it's
yourself.
really good for you to hear
But
these
I
stories
just
because the
I,
biggest problem I've seen, really quick, the biggest problem I've seen, Nikki, is the people who have a problem with us. They never actually sit down and talk with us. They've never had a meal with us. They never get to understand that our identities are not completely wrapped up in being trans. There's so many cooler things about me than the fact that I'm fucking trans.
I don't
Okay?
even want to talk about that I'm trans most of the time, man. Like
Yeah.
I don't like it's not like, everything. It's
yeah,
just the
but
fact of like my gender,
okay. I don't, but I just don't want you guys because in the beginning, Emmy, you came at me pretty hot, but it's just you. I don't want you being mad at me for what, because I don't hate you guys. I'm actually happy hearing your stories,
Can I
but
tell
just
you why I
from
was mad?
like a religious standpoint and like under 18, like what if they change their minds and you have the surgery? How can we allow that?
So here's the thing.
she's already
This is why
explained.
I'm mad. This is why I was so mad, Nikki, when I came up. Is that number one, you're up here spouting misinformation about people like me, and you are voting for people who take my rights away, who have literally taken away the rights of my community to be able to get that life-saving care they need. You asked if it was really hard. holding it in for that long, yeah, I will tell you that I have struggled with the ideations of self-deleting my entire life. To the point where, yes, I've been to the hospital. I've taken the grippy sock vacation. I've had friends take my antidepressants and other things away from me to keep me safe at times. I have struggled with this my entire life. And when we say that transgender health care, gender affirming care is life-saving care, it's because, yes, I made it this far, but that's only because I'm a survivor and I had a survival mechanism that was stronger than a lot of people have. The number of trans people who unalive themselves before they even reach 18 because of rhetoric like this is absolutely astounding and disgusting. And so, yes, it was really difficult. And so, when you come up here and you talk about how we shouldn't have our rights and how people under 18 should not be allowed to make this decision about themselves and recognize this about themselves, it is harmful, it is deadly, and it is something that I get very passionate about. And that's why I came up here so hot.
And the reason that the rate of unaliving with people who identify as trans is as high as it is because not because they are trans, but it's because of the challenges that we face in the healthcare system and the rhetoric that gets spouted about us and the things that are pushed and that we're told. It's not because we are trans that we do this or like unalive ourselves. It's because of the things that we face in everyday society and the systems that we have to battle to be who we are.
Yeah, I think I would have definitely I still have to stand on the under 18 fact because I saw a statistic. I don't know if it's
But
true or
she's
not, but
already explained to you that these things that you believe are not real, like the people, like you think that children are just going into hospitals one day and coming out like assigned a different gender, and it's just not real.
what
Please
about
understand that.
all the people who like regret it and then they become depressed because they can't switch back?
So, can I tell you something about the regret rate? Do you know what the regret rate is? Give me your
Yeah,
best
that's what I'm the
guess.
regret rate. I think it's 30, 40.
Fewer than
I don't know.
3% of people who
Okay.
regret it. Do you know what the percentage of people who win the lottery that regret winning the lottery is?
Well, I know a lot go broke because they spend it dumb, so it's probably high.
Also less than 3%. Okay, so it's
Oh,
like some people will just regret things, yes, but do you know what the number one reason that people who detransition is?
no.
It's because of societal pressures and things like this and fear of our government making laws like this. And it doesn't mean that they're not trans. It means that they are simply doing it for their safety. That is the majority of them.
Do you understand that like most people who are trans won't have any surgeries at all?
Well, I'm aware that people like closet it in, but I'm not too sure.
Do
I
you
don't.
think that like the end goal for all trans people is to transition like their genitals that they have?
Well, that's what I thought. I didn't know you could be like. I forgot who it was. Which one of you guys didn't switch like the genitals? But I thought trans was like
No, I
Neither
was
classified
of us
saying
trans.
have. Neither of us have.
I was saying that I
Like I
have
thought you
not
had to
done.
switch to be trans.
No, you do not have to switch. That's
Uh,
the whole. See, you don't even know the things that you are talking about. So it's glad that that you're having this conversation with us. Like your end goal when you transition doesn't have to be to transition to the opposite genitalia.
So it's
Like
just
you
to
can be.
feel like
It's to
the.
feel more like yourself on the inside, man. To make yourself reflect what you feel on the inside.
Okay.
So like
Nikki,
for
what do you think
me,
that Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, no, you're okay, hon. So for me, I like wear makeup and changed my name and everybody calls me she, her, and I present myself the way that I present around in just in this normal society. And for me, that's good enough. I like that. Like that's good
Yeah.
enough for me. I don't voice train, I don't do things that other people might do to make themselves feel better about themselves, you know? So
Mhm.
there's different stages to this. Like you don't have to have the end goal, the same end goal that every trans person has. It's a
Nikki, what do you think the word trans, or what do you think the trans and transgender means?
Well, trans like transition like
No,
switch.
it doesn't. So this is where you need to educate yourself. So trans is a Latin prefix that means across from, and cis is a Latin prefix that means on the same side of. So it's really simple. Someone who is trans identifies as the gender opposite of what they were assigned at birth. Someone who is cis identifies with the gender that they were assigned at birth. That's what trans means. It has nothing to do with transition. There are plenty of trans people who, yes, they don't actually even do anything to transition. They might not change their name, they might not change their appearance or their social anything, and yet they still identify as the other identity. But for whatever reason, they decide not to do anything. For me, just to be very real with you, because this has been a productive conversation, I don't want to drag it on too long because I know Dan has other things to do as well tonight. But um, for me, yeah, I'm on hormones. I am currently in the process of getting approved for laser hair removal on my face. I am going to be over the next few years looking at facial feminization surgery and bottom surgery, and I'm going to be getting approved for voice training. For me, that is the goal because
Yeah.
these things cause me great distress because they don't align
So
with who I
you
am.
And
you
the
at
same
at
things.
the age that
Sorry.
you're at, you still need to get approved for the surgeries you want.
Yes, I do because my insurance is, I have to go through my insurance. Otherwise, do you know
Very
how
true.
expensive it is for me to pay out of pocket for any of this? It's extremely
Yeah.
expensive. Also,
So
by the way,
insurance
I've been in
covers
therapy for over
everything.
3 years.
And the end goal that
Okay.
Emmy has to make herself feel like herself isn't the same end goal that I have, nor will it be the same end goal that any other, you know, trans person might have. It could be completely different. Like I said, for me, my end goal, I've pretty much already, like, I'm glad to say this, that I'm already there. Like, I feel like myself, and, you know, it might not be the same for every person. It's different person to person. And I think it's just like,
Do
you don't
do other
understand that.
countries do other countries in the world allow transgender people to do the type of stuff that you guys want to do? Or is
It's
it
different. It
Absolutely.
varies by country,
Varies by
but
country.
yes.
'cause I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, so I was
So I
It
like,
just
varies
I
want to
by
think
tell you that
country.
there are countries that like not only allow but revere people in their communities who are
mhm.
gender non-conforming, non-binary, and transgender. There are entire cultures in this world that are built around trans and non-binary identities being the people who they look to for wisdom and healing and all kinds of things, and they revere them and hold them in high regard. We have existed forever. This is not something new.
And you can quote me if I'm wrong, but I believe the first successful surgery, like if you want to go on that basis, if you watch, because what you know, it was like in the 30s or 40s, man. Like you can look this stuff up. Like trans people have always existed, and not just like surgically or like presenting as like what you think they would exist, man. Trans people have always existed on a spectrum. It's not going to be the same for everybody. And once you understand that, I think it would help you like see us in a different light.
I'd like to just do a quick plug because I think Nikki does need some information to continue to learn more about this. First of all, this wonderful, wonderful soul above me, Dean, is a wealth of knowledge on this, and our mutual friend Lainey, who you can find as Defend Us Trans, does a live almost every day of the week, and the topic is simply, "Do you have a question about trans people?" I
I
would highly encourage you, Nikki, to go follow Lainey. And if people could put Lainey's at in the chat really quick, I would really, encourage you to go and like ask questions to learn more because it's not a debate space. It doesn't get heated. It's all about learning. And Lainey is just like, they are one of the best educators on this topic I've ever met.
Emmy, are you in the Discord?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
All right, I gotta get with you, hon. I gotta connect with you. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'm gonna drop
Yeah, I
down though,
mean,
Dan. I
you
hope
two,
this.
to be honest, you
Sorry,
two are
what?
the first transgender people I ever spoke to.
And that's a big problem that you had so much
I,
hate for somebody that you have such
no,
you
it's
had
not that
such
I
big.
didn't want to talk. It's not that I wouldn't talk to a trans person. It's just
But
there's
but
like
never
do
I
you
never
don't
have.
think
see? But do you see how that's such a problem that you're so okay with doing that? You were so okay with doing things and creating legislation about somebody you've never even spoke to. Like you,
Making
well,
judgments
I
on us.
wasn't. I personally don't think that I was like. I'm not extreme on this topic. I mean, I learned a lot from you too, but I was
Yeah.
just on the under 18 part. I wasn't for the. I'm a big
you should
Constitution guy.
never. You should never be. party over country, or just because your party, like, think one thing, or like religion, think one thing, you have to be so staunch in your beliefs, brother. Like, you can think differently. Like, you can open your mind and learn. Like, you can expand your
Yeah, but
beliefs.
I've never been to this topic because I think I'm the most open-minded in like my family at least. I come from an Arab family, Arab Christian, very religious, very
Same.
but cultural. But like my parents are like cultural. Like my first language was Arabic actually. I learned English when I was 3.
Okay,
So
and you don't
just
have to leave your culture or anything like that just to expand your horizons. You get that,
Yeah,
right?
that's just what I'm saying. Most people I've spoken to, I'm in a private Catholic school. Like I actually never met a trans person before.
Yeah,
So,
and
Nikki, if I could, because I'm going to drop as well, I just want to give
yeah.
you one little piece of encouragement here. In this
Yeah.
situation, you have made judgments about people and therefore based even the way that you vote and the things that you stand for, based on judgments about a group of people that you've never even met, never taken the time to research, only listen to what people are telling you that you already believe about other things. And that is a really, really dangerous way to form opinions. You should inform yourself on a topic fully and then form an opinion on it, and then use that opinion based on the evidence and based on the information to go and vote. So I would just encourage you to deconstruct your entire political stance a little bit and ask yourself when you have time to just sit down and just quietly contemplate what other things do I believe that I've never looked into, and what other opinions have I formed based on opinion without any information? I think that it would do you a lot of good to really sit down and ask those questions.
Okay.
100% agree.
You have a great night, guys, okay? I'm
When
gonna still be
You too,
here
Quinn.
hiding out if you need me, but I'm gonna drop down and go hang out with my wife.
Quinn, it was
Yeah, I'm
extremely
gonna head
nice to
out
meet
too.
you.
Yeah, of course. I'm sorry
Good
that I
good
didn't get to
talk,
talk
Quinn
to
and
you.
Emmy.
Good
Well,
talking to you,
I
Nikki.
came up to address some things, but you and Amy did such a wonderful job that I was just like, oh, I'm kind of not needed really. But
Dean, can
Uh,
you do me a favor and comment so I can follow? I can't follow from the box. Just
yeah,
comment anything. Thank you.
I gotta follow you guys too. I'm gonna drop down though. I
yeah.
I'm
hope you
going to
guys
drop
have a
too.
great night. Nikki, it
Yeah,
was
I'm out.
awesome
I'm out. That
talking to
was good
you,
to
and
good
everything that
talk.
Yeah.
Good
Emmy
talk.
said to you, she was completely right, and I hope you do a lot of self-reflection and just think about why you believe the way that you believe, okay?
Yeah.
All right, great
Emmy,
talk,
thank
guys.
you
Ladies,
for
sorry.
what you said about me. That's extremely kind. I always love listening to you because you have so much to offer. So
Well, same goes for you, Dean. You are just incredible, and I don't know that I've met a stronger ally on this app. Everybody follow Dean. Everybody, dad is correct. He is very much a dad. He loves everybody. So, uh, Dan, thank you for letting me up. I'm gonna drop.
Of course, anytime. Thank you so much.
thanks, Emmy. And that's what the reason I turned my camera on. Oh, he and Nikki left too. But that's the
Yeah,
reason I
I
turned my
think he mentioned
camera on is I
he had
had
to go. Go ahead.
okay,
Sorry.
because I had that picture behind me is that the person on the left is a trans man, the person on the right is a trans woman. Do you want the guy on the left going into women's bathrooms and the person on the right going into men's restrooms because of these laws? That's just, that's unbelievably ridiculous. I'll get out of the way. There's no way that person on the left is going to go into women's restrooms and not get accosted or have people running in after him saying, "Hey, you can't go in that restroom."
Yeah.
Like, well, that's the restroom you told me to go into because that's the sex I was assigned at birth. This whole thing is so ridiculous that it's almost nonsensical if it wasn't so tragic. And I'm a marriage and family therapist, so I've worked with trans people, and I haven't worked with trans adolescents yet, but I met a couple when I was in grad school, and their parents were so unbelievably supportive. And the process you have to go through even to get to the point of getting puberty blockers is so extensive that people need to educate themselves. Emmy and Quinn both brought up the terms consistent, persistent, and insistent. And a child who identifies as trans at maybe 4 or 5 years old, they go through therapy and to a psychiatrist and to their family doctor and endocrinologist, and they go for years to therapy to make sure that that is what they are, that they have been insistent, persistent, inconsistent, and that's before you ever even talk about puberty blockers, let alone any kind of surgery. And to my knowledge, and Laney's probably way more educated in this than I am, but to my knowledge, I think there's only been one bottom surgery of somebody under 18 that I'm aware of. And that was an extremely exigent circumstance. So, and, Amy brought up the fact that cis males are far more likely to get the top surgery because of gynecomastia. And I actually, one of my cousins had that situation and had that surgery because of that. And it was gender reaffirming care.
Circumcision is bottom surgery, just saying. Well.
Yeah.
All right, Dean. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you. I think this is the first
Dan,
time
I've been on and off your lives for a long time, watching you debate and whatnot. It's a pleasure actually being up on your panel, and it's nice to meet you officially. So
I really appreciate that. You're always welcome to come up.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Anyone wants to follow real quick before Dean drops?
Well, that was something. That was an intervention.
Yeah.
I kind of just stayed quiet there. I learned a few things though. I didn't know about the guys who get top surgery or whatever it was.
Yep.
That's a great talking point.
Yep.
I think the non-binary God talking point was good.
Yeah, that was a new one for me as well.
So
and during puberty, you've got, even males, even people who are born male have a lot of estrogen running through their body because their hormones are going all kinds of crazy. So, that's one of the causes of that particular condition.
Yeah. All right, Dean, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much. You're always welcome to come back to educate for sure.
Yeah, I've watched both of you on lives for a long time, so I appreciate the opportunity. So.
Absolutely. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, my approach to that stuff, Dan, is probably a little more it's not as good, I'd say, but I just try to connect with the young guys as an older guy. I don't know any trans people in my real life. And so I just try to connect with some of these more conservative guys. I go, look, it's something different. I understand. But when I look in the mirror, I see a certain image and I portray myself to the world like that. And I just want everybody to have that. That's it. And I don't think anybody would take their kids to have surgery or get hormones if they didn't go to 3 doctors and it was the last thing they could do, the last option. I don't think people take this stuff lightly. And I trust parents to work with the doctors and do what's best for their kids. And I don't think anybody wants their kids on any sort of pharmaceuticals or any sort of treatment if they don't absolutely need it. And that's where the science is right now. So that's just kind of how I handle it. But it was interesting to hear those individuals talk to Nikki.
Yeah, you never know where these lives go sometimes with the debates, and I've learned a lot from situations like that where a community that I'm not a part of is a big sticking point for one of the guests, and we bring up people to speak on their experiences, and at least in terms of the trans topic in particular, I have learned so much from speaking to trans individuals, more than I ever would on my own doing research. So I really like holding panels like that, and they turn out to be impromptu very, very often. But I think it went really well. I hope Nikki was listening rather than just hearing. Or what's the phrase? Hearing and not listening? Whatever. Yeah.
Well, I was wondering the whole time, Nikki, in my opinion, a lot of conservatives aren't going to be receptive to this. But I will say by the end, when Nikki said, I haven't spoken to any trans people before. And I think that says something, and maybe some of that stuff will stick. And maybe he'll go look some things up out of pure rage and to try to prove them wrong and realize, hey, they're right. And so I think that actually was effective. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, and I think that's actually probably the case for most of people that have these views. I obviously don't know this. This is conjecture, but I have to imagine most people that are super anti-trans, people that put trans issues in their top 5 issues, which was insane in 2024, that the Republican voters had that in their top 5 issues. But I think most have just never met a trans person.
Yeah, I think that's with a lot of issues with Trump voters. They don't have any interaction with it. They never met an undocumented person. They don't know what they go through. They don't know anything about any of these issues. And so that's why I treat them a little differently on my stream, where I'm like, okay, these guys have all been lied to. Of course they have these positions. So let me see if I can walk them through it. So I'm not as quick to like jump on people for one specific position.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's different for each guest. I agree with their perspective that like he came in so hot on that one issue, you know. But yeah, all right. We're gonna go to the next guest shortly. If you're here for the first time, thank you so much for joining. We're live Thursdays to Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern, doing live political debates, political discussions, and fact checks. We also try to be live for all major political events. So if you like this content, drop a follow, tap the screen. Also, special shout out to Quinn, Emmy, and Dean for speaking the truth on that last panel. I really appreciate that. If you're not following I'm Really Important, now is your opportunity. Limited time only, because I am going to try to go to bed at a reasonable hour tonight. So we have maybe an hour left of the live. Make sure to follow I'm Really Important. For those that are gifted, I'm turning. Sorry, I turned sound alerts off for that conversation. Let me turn those back on. I saw a bunch of hat and mustaches, so you guys are owed a few of these.
I have about 20 minutes left. I'll go to the top of the hour, but I appreciate it. It's been fun, and I'm sure we'll get another couple more.
Oh, yep, that sounds good. And hopefully, if come on, man. There we go. That's the. I'm trying to find the sound effect. Thank you for that mustache. In the future, I'm down to join your live as well. I think.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think
anytime you want to join.
I appreciate that. All right, here we go. Let's do a couple more spiel things, but if we got 20 minutes, let's go to the next guest.
Well, do whatever you want. It's all good.
It's just the soundboard is so long, and I can't find the hat and mustaches.
I see.
Oh, there they are.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man.
All right, there you guys go. Rich poor raid is crazy. Oh, did we get a rich poor raid? You've gotten rich poor. I've definitely seen your video about like the crash out.
I blocked him recently.
Really.
I only had him up a couple times. He's trolling, so I got rid of him. Yeah, he's a troll.
He is a troll, but he's kind of become a folklore in our community. Yeah. He just comes up for comic relief every once in a while. Low flow. Looks like you're not connecting. We're gonna go to the next guest. He's like our mascot. All right, Neely. I don't know about all that. I wouldn't go that far. Like Liam, no. The difference is, so Rich Poor is a troll. Liam's like kind of a bad person, like deep down, and kind of is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. So I wouldn't compare Rich Poor to Liam. Okay, next guest. Here we go. Hi, welcome on.
Hey, Dan.
How you doing?
I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm just a huge fan. I want to call out somebody in the chat. I don't know his full name, but it's Mark. This guy keeps talking his shit. So I need him to like come up and like say something, and he's just being a keyboard warrior. So
the call out, Mark.
I'm a huge fan.
Are you afraid, Mark?
Come on, Mark. Dog walk us. Come up here.
That's all I need to say. Calling out this guy, Mark.
All right, I appreciate that. It looks like he's requested, so the call out worked.
Y'all have a good one, y'all.
All right, thank you so much for this. All right, here we go. See what Mark's got to say.
Well, I'm excited. Let's go, Mark. W's for Mark.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh Lord.
Yes, I have been sent to piss off all you libtards and Democrats.
Did you?
Yeah, that's about all y'all have got is
Okay. So what?
Already.
Yep, that's all you can do is sit there and stroke your little face and go Yep, ain't got nothing now, do you, buddy boy?
Finish him.
Do you? Can you name a single thing that Donald Trump has done for you?
Oh, for me personally, how about two genders only, men and women?
All right, this isn't a real person.
Nobody's arguing that there's two genders, by the way. And that's so funny to me. It's like there's no debate. It's fine. Okay.
Well, actually, hold on.
So
I want to correct you there.
Well, I know.
My president, Joseph Robinette Biden, when asked this question, how many genders are there? He responded, and I quote, "At least 3," and then walked away. Dan, please look at his profile. Oh,
Mike muted.
Wait, my
Do you
mic?
not have anything to say? Is that what happened?
Oh, wait.
I missed it. Well, I thought it was fine.
I accidentally hit the mute mic button. I am so sorry, everybody. I'm so sorry. What I said was my president, Joseph Robinette Biden, when asked how many genders are there, he replied, "At least 3," and then walked away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just weird that MAGA's like, okay, there's two genders. Who cares? You know, that's not what the debate's about.
I just don't. I've never. I can't fathom that being in my top 100 issues. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Also, really quick, I wanted to point out that that last guest. So the phrase lib tard is a what's the word here? It uses the conjunction playing off of the R slur. So I just want to call that out. I will say probably most people that use that are using it as an insult to liberals rather than who the original word is meant for. But I still want to make sure people know that. Slur variation, yeah, exactly. Double whammy. No, I mean, I don't mind them calling us lib cucks or something like that. That's fine. Or betas, whatever the other names are. We're gonna go
I call myself that to reclaim it. I know I shouldn't. But I feel I can take that one. But no, I try not to use the R word also. I don't on stream. I don't encourage people to use it.
Yeah, I think that's there's been some TikTok you know what, I won't talk about it now. We're gonna go to the next guest. The community is very united behind that word being hurtful, and I think that's something that other words like the N word and like the F word had gone through as well before they became clearly unacceptable. I think we're at that point with the R word, and society's catching up because people are behind the times.
Yeah, did you see that clip of Ro Khanna getting called a variation of that? Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Ro Khanna, obviously you know Ro Khanna,
Yeah.
but people know he's a congressman from California, very popular, and he was on a panel with some TikTokers and creators. Dean was a part of it. He wasn't on that panel, but it was a panel, and some guy made a joke. Are you ready if you run in 2028 for someone to call you and Ro and then add the and he kind of laughed about it. And he's like, yeah, it's not a big deal. So people were upset about that. Like, yeah, that's Ro Khanna should have corrected them and all that. It's an interesting conversation.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, if I personally think like the way where we're at with that word is that there are a lot of people that don't understand the hurt it causes. So if they learn about it and then they apologize and then change their behavior, then we're cool. I don't know what Rocano's response was.
People were not happy. He kind of giggled about
Well,
it.
I'm saying after he was called out is what I mean.
Oh, I don't know if he has responded afterwards. But I tell you just briefly, I go to a barber who's a conservative for years, and we always talk politics. And he has a daughter who is special needs, and so he's like totally against that word. He'll use all the other slurs in the book, but he will not use that word. And I just find that very interesting. So I think there is some hope to get rid of that word too.
Yeah, I think most people that know like the systemic hurt behind it get it, but I do recognize that a lot of people, at least in this country, don't know that yet. Hopefully they're open to learning. I don't think the word is that important to use. It wasn't.
Yeah, and I'm not saying my barber says the N-word or something like that.
No.
I'm just saying he
I get
doesn't
what
have a problem with any other language, but that word he thinks is very, very bad.
Not your barber getting canceled. All right, we're going to the next guest. Hi, welcome up.
Hey, just want to say, fuck Trump. Democrat. All I gotta say, Dan, you're the man. Everything you do, amazing.
I appreciate
Have
that.
a good night.
You as well. Hi, Dan. Hope you're having a great weekend. Thank you so much, Emerald. I hope you are as well. Next guest. So we actually don't have any ops at the moment, but have you met Dean? Not Dean Withers. Have you met Grandpa Dean yet?
No, I haven't heard that name before.
Okay.
That was the dude who was in here?
No, that's the dude I'm bringing up right now.
Okay.
Hey, Dean.
Hey, Dan. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I recognize the guy's voice underneath me, and every time Friendly comes up, see you later, you're gone.
Oh, is
With
that
me? On my channel?
Yeah, you.
I used to, in the beginning, I would kick friendlies immediately, but now I just let anybody up.
Well, that must be recent because I tried getting up a few times, and you ask, did you vote for Trump? I say no. And okay, we're only looking for opposition.
I'm sorry about that.
No, it's all
I did
good.
not
It's
expect
all
to call
good.
out.
Nothing personal. He's
Oh,
taking.
no.
He's got a complaint
You're
for the
great.
manager.
You're a really good debater. I've listened to you many nights, and I love your facts. Actually, I came up to talk to Dan, but anyway.
Okay.
So, Dan, how are you since the last time I saw you?
I'm doing better. I'm doing
Great.
well.
That's wonderful. My message board was open for if you want to talk to me, but you look great. You look great now. Hey, I've got a question for both of you.
Sure.
If a military man or a congressman, senator, anybody in the government, they breaks their oath, what is the penalty?
I actually don't know the exact answer to that. IRI, do you know?
I don't know if you can be like punished by law for that. I imagine. I don't know.
I would think it's different. It's different for politicians and military, but they would be removed if determined that that's what they did. But in the case in the case of politicians, an impeachment comes down to a vote. So if you have enough complicit people. But if anyone has the answer, we could look it up, or we could bring up somebody that knows.
That's I thought that was a good question.
Yeah. I don't think there is any punishment. Like federal employees have to basically swear an oath to the Constitution or whatever. But yeah.
Would it be perjury? Like if you're in a court,
Okay, so
you swear to tell the truth?
I'm saying military is court-martial, whereas political is impeachment. So we know about impeachment. We all know about impeachment. Let's look up. Court-martial is a military court convened to try members of the armed forces for violations to the code. Okay, so it's similar to impeachment.
Yeah, the military code of justice. So anyway, things are pretty good. Let's see. I got a different car, and I'll be moving to Florida,
Oh,
the Sarasota area.
okay. Yeah, I definitely plan on meeting you.
We definitely will. We definitely will.
So
So, have you heard about Isaiah Martin? How's he doing in Texas?
to my knowledge, he's ahead in the polls. We can look into that.
Awesome.
I doubt there's any polls, but I think the election's in November, so he's got some time.
Yeah.
They don't do a lot of polling for congressional races.
Well, he's vocal. He's very vocal on what he wants to do, which is a good thing. Why hide it?
He's leading according to Miles.
You
Yeah,
see
no.
a poll?
I don't see one. But I know he's spoken about. I don't know if they have. Maybe they have internal polling that I'm not aware of. But yeah, we need more people like Isaiah. Period. Point blank. People that are going to be fighters.
Mm-hmm. He's going to be a fighter.
Yeah, he started out kind of, I guess, chilling out a little bit. That's the vibe I got. But then after a couple of weeks, he's like, you know what? I'm going to do what I do. Like, he wasn't debating MAGA. He was just going online and talking to people. But now he's back to doing his thing. I don't think he plays the Queen song, Another One Bites the Dust. But beyond that, I think he's being himself, and I appreciate that. You know, you got to do you.
I do too.
Absolutely.
Not much else to say. My wife's going to have surgery on her knee, so it's going to be a little bit more of a burden on me, but it is what it is. It's unconditional. So, my friend, it's been a pleasure, and hope you have a wonderful weekend, a safe weekend, and God bless our servicemen.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy your Memorial Day weekend as well.
Well, thank you. Be safe.
You too.
And I'll talk to this man underneath me very soon. So when you see Dean, the old veteran 72-year-old guy, say hi.
I will. Bring the heat, Dean. I look forward to it.
Yeah, I'm a major Trump hater, and I'll stop there.
You know, you two actually have something in common. Both of you like going into MAGA lives and getting up and triggering the Trump supporters to kicking you. You guys,
wow.
You guys have a lot to talk about.
You do that?
I have been kicked so many times, and I love it. I got my wing or feather in my wing or.
Oh yeah. I got the phrase for you, Dean.
Yeah.
I said every time MAGA kicks him from their lives, an angel gains its wings.
That's what it is. That's what it is. And it is what it is. I got to get out there and go fishing.
All right, Dean. Keep me posted on when you move. I'll definitely. We definitely got to meet up. I'll take you out to eat or something.
I told you you're on my bucket list, and I mean that. I know you know. I mean that.
I know. I appreciate that. So yeah, my messages are open. I can't remember if I gave you my number, but I will. If you message me on TikTok, I'll send you my number, and we can
either a Discord or on a message.
Yep, sounds perfect. Dean,
okay, my friend. Take
it's a pleasure
care.
As always.
God bless. Be safe.
You as well, and thank you again for your service.
It was my honor. Thank you.
Have a good night, Dean.
You too. Bye.
I love that he goes into MAGA lives and triggers everybody and gets booted. How do you boot that guy?
They bring him up expecting, it's the old white guy, expecting a friendly, and he comes up and cooks.
He must have a total different attitude in those lives than he just had it right here or something.
Yeah. I mean, he's really good at rage baiting them, honestly. Like, he comes up and he says, well, I don't know how you guys can support a president that doesn't support the Constitution. I thought Republicans were for the Constitution, but it sounds like you guys are just for Donald Trump. And I think the whiplash they get seeing an old white guy say that, just it's beautiful. It's a thing of art.
That's awesome. I love the soldiers in the trenches. They're out there. I go on a lot of panels, and I see random libs
Come
out
on,
there.
man.
It's funny. They're just fighting in the trenches.
Thank you, Brittany, for the hat and mustache. Thank you, everybody. By the way, I know I've missed some, but thank you all for the hat and mustaches. I don't know why I chose those as today's gift goals, but I really like when Obama says, "Come on, man." You guys should be Magadan and IRI. I think I retired Magadan. Every time I do Magadan, I get a violation for misinformation. I can't do it anymore.
Oh, you do it here on your main channel?
Yeah.
I think that's the mistake.
Yeah, so I did one for Halloween. I did one for April Fool's Day. But
I did everything right and they indicted me.
thank you, ShamWow. Wait, there's a lot of There's a lot of new people in here. Have y'all heard the? It's kind of an expensive gift, so I'm just gonna play the sound. But this is I did everything right, but they indicted me.
Genuinely, no.
Thank you, Erica. I did everything right, but they indicted me. But in Arabic. سويت كل شيء مزبوط بس حكموني. More you know. Okay. I have one more guest. Okay, the only guest in the box is a friendly. So if you do have a hard out in 3 minutes, now might be a good time to do our.
Yeah, I'll take off now. But this has been fun. The time flew by. We'll do it again. Again, you're welcome to come on if you want to come on for half an hour, whatever, or set something up to stream together. It's up to you. But
I really appreciate that. There's Erica just sent the confetti. I don't know if you've met Erica, but yeah, she'd also be a great person to bring up for debates like these. He cooks. So if y'all haven't met, official introduction. But it sounds like
I like Erica. I disagree with a lot of people on the left as well. I'm kind of a little more moderate, but I love hearing other people's opinions. And I think people's hearts are all in the right place, and everybody's
most
their own.
I don't know about all, but most.
Well, but everybody has their own form of activism and what they're doing, and so I just have so much respect. And yeah, she's definitely a powerhouse, I guess I would say.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Thanks again, Dan. This is fun. I mean, I love seeing you out there too. I hope you get out on the mega panels too. I know that when I was on that one, you jumped on too for fun. But there's very few of us that go out there and mix it up. I think Erica, I saw her on Dame's panel arguing with some people too on the right.
Yeah, Isaiah. I don't know if he still does it, but before he announced his run, after every live, he would. I don't know if it was therapeutic for him. He'd go out into the trenches.
Every live? Wow.
Yeah, after every live. I don't think he's done it since he's announced his candidacy, but prior he was. Oh man.
Well, now I do it now, and I found out I figured out how not to get kicked, and
MAGA
not to piss them
hunting.
off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and now I can get them to get real quiet. That's what happens after a while. After I push back on everything in a nice way, they get kind of real quiet. Like they want me to leave. They want another liberal to come up to beat up on. So I'm still figuring it out how to play it the most, but it is a lot of fun to go into their spaces.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's surreal for sure. Yeah. But all right, do you want to shout out your channels? I don't know if you're the same on everything, but feel free.
Yeah, just look, you guys. Thanks everybody for hanging out. I was reading a lot of your comments; they were hilarious. And even during when the trans individuals came up here, I was able to look into the moratorium for the eviction. That was another great talking point that I got to look at the timeline. But yes, just follow I'm Really Important here on TikTok, Twitch, YouTube. I stream on Twitch and YouTube in the evening. I don't do debates. I just go over articles and news and stuff like that over there. But yeah, thanks for letting me share your space with you for a couple hours. And it's nice to see so many familiar faces and very interesting, how you go about with your stream. Very different. Everybody's so unique and interesting. Yeah. So thanks, Dan. I really appreciate you. And I just enjoyed your content, and I'm glad you're in the space. I'll just say, finally, we don't get to pick the people in the space and the people who do well. So it's always great when somebody nice and somebody with their heart in the right place succeeds. And so I'm glad you're here.
That's so sweet because my end cap glazing was gonna be reminding everybody that you were the white guy and in Pretty Fly for a White Guy, and being like, if you guys need another excuse to follow, like you said, like this profound, like really nice thing about me, and I feel bad. I feel bad that that's what.
All good.
But I do want to repeat. IRI is someone that I have been passively following since back in 2020. It's he said that he was going live on Twitch since 2018. This man has been spreading the truth for years. So definitely drop him a follow if you haven't already. And yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this for a while, actually. I'm glad we finally got to
yes,
get the schedules right.
For sure. I appreciate it. All right. I'll see you soon.
All right. Have a good night.
Yep.
Let's get some W's for RRI. You know what I kind of want to start doing? I think I want to start doing like 1 day a week dedicated to having another creator up. I think that would be really cool. Caffeine keeps inviting people in chat and none of them are joining. Consult with Bubba first. Oh, yeah, that's right. I do have to consult with Bubba. We're gonna. You know what's funny? If you set up Bubba as my social media manager, we're gonna end up just talking about One Piece the whole time anyway. So we're not gonna get anything. We're not gonna get anything done. All right. Okay, that's an easy W. Laugh my ass off. Good idea. Yeah. I think that'll be cool. Erica, you know you're gonna be in the rotation for sure. Is there a single MAGA brave enough to talk? It doesn't seem like it. We have 2 guests. One of them is Falcon. I'll bring up Falcon after the other guests to see if they are. Wait, can we have One Piece Saturdays with Bubba, Erica? Yes. Wait. He has to catch up though. If he catches up, if we did reviews of the new episode of One Piece every Saturday with Bubba, oh my god, I would have so much fun. Wish you and Carbon would collab. So actually, I'm totally down, and Carbon, I think, is also totally down. We just kind of never have. What time of day does Carbon stream? Because I feel like that's probably part of the problem. He streams like in the wee hours of the morning. Late as fuck. Yeah. So I'm trying so hard to fix my sleep cycle. For not only my sake but Mac's sake. So he's in Hawaii, so it's he's in Hawaii. I didn't even know that. Yeah, if I ever destroy my sleep cycle, Carbon lives in yesterday's time zone. Okay, this is gonna be a reminder for chat. All right, y'all know no matter how many times I fix my sleep cycle, I always fuck it up. So if I am ever complaining about how my sleep cycle is cooked, remind me to like silver lining and then collab with Carbon. That would be awesome. But right now, time for a 24-hour stream. Oh my god. Okay. I partially blame Carbon for ruining my sleep cycle. Back when my lives were unhinged and went super late, there was a lot of people in that same boat, and I feel so bad. Caffeine keeps inviting people and they keep not coming up. Oh my god. Carbon could come on if we ask him real nicely. Carbon was the first debater I watched. Carbon's really good. I just don't get to watch him as much as I'd like to because of when he goes live, unfortunately. But I try to drop in when I see him and drop a heart me. Y'all, so in case it's not talked about enough, like the heart me's are like really good for the algorithm. Like obviously, you know, if you want to support your creators financially with gifts and whatever, that's totally your prerogative. Some creators do this as a full-time thing. Other creators don't. Y'all know I always say nobody has to gift as much as I appreciate it. All I'm asking for is a follow. But the heart me's are a penny a day, and they actually really do help people's what's it called, algorithm. So like if you want more people to get debates, like dropping your daily heart me is usually a good way to support the live and not cost like a lot of money. Because I think they're a penny a day. Maybe like maybe a penny and a half, depending on where you buy it. Because I know TikTok charges more if you buy it on your phone than if you buy it on computer. For a penny a day, you can keep Dan on the FYP. Literally. MAGA alphas. All right, yes, MAGA alphas. Here we go. Go to the next guest. Is this a MAGA alpha? Nope. And it does not seem so. All right. We're going to bring up Falcon.
Hello.
Hey.
I originally requested up when they were talking about the trans conversation, and I'm probably a little sensitive about the subject right now. But I just wanted to say to that person and all of the MAGA people that you can't claim to care about veterans and hate trans people and trans veterans. And I'm very sick of burying my friends this year. So that rhetoric has to stop. There are very real consequences to what happens. So if you want to, maggots, if you want to argue with a veteran about me caring about my brothers and sisters in arms, we are here. But I'm really tired of burying my friends.
I think this is something that actually went under the radar in Trump's first term as well. But the disrespect towards the trans vets and trans people in the military from these administrations, absolutely insane. And I'm so glad you brought it up.
I just, for those people who are not aware of what I'm talking about, Eliza Shoup was the first individual in the military to openly and legally identify as trans after Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And this year, when Trump signed his executive order trying to ban transgender veterans, Eliza was found having unaltered themselves in the parking lot of the VA. And I don't think that people understand the very real consequences to the hate that they are perpetuating. And you cannot claim to support our troops and to support our veterans and hate the veterans that did in fact serve. And they are so deeply. I've lost friends this year over this, and I'm not having a great time with it. I don't have a lot of patience for it anymore. But yeah, that was I didn't request up originally talk about activism. I just wanted to say that we should not be burying our friends.
Thank you so much for speaking on that, because I agree that it doesn't. These people's names aren't known enough. Their stories need to be told, and I really do appreciate that.
There's another, the name hasn't hit the news yet, and I don't want to say it before their family finds out. But there is an Air Force service member that took their life this week because of the trans ban. And I actually served with him, I deployed with him, and I'm really tired of it.
I'm so sorry, Falcon.
So that is just something. I'm sure it will hit the news cycle soon. I don't want to say anything until their family knows. And I'm not going to claim that this was someone that was my best friend or anything like that. But when you lose people from your unit, it affects all of us. So that's I'm really tired of watching these people vote against the interests of people that they've never met, don't understand the consequences of those actions. So if you want to stop veteran suicide rates or unaliving rates, it means supporting trans people.
Period.
So, I don't know. I don't have anything happy to say after that.
No, you're totally fine. Sometimes the truth needs to be spoken, even if it's a mood killer. So, Falcon, thank you so much for coming up.
Have a wonderful night, Dan.
You as well. I don't think this needs to be said to my audience, but in case it's not clear, trans rights are human rights, and some to quote Tic Tac, be kind to your trans neighbors right now because they are going through it. Of course, Sheila, and thank you so much for being here. I do, before I end the live tonight, I do have one last thing to talk about. First of all, I want to shout out the top 3 tappers: Boots, Jeridian, and Angie. Thank you so much. Y'all are a big reason why these lives can continue. Because if we don't have viewers, then we don't have guests, and if we don't have guests, then we don't have debates, and we don't have debates, we don't have information. So, thank you, Boots, Jeridian, and Angie. Thank you so much. Is it me? Oh wait, you're the Tic Tac that I mentioned. Yeah. I don't know if you missed what I said, but okay. Which shit I want to recount. If y'all can just give me a minute or two. So I guess there's 2 things I want to talk about. Second thing is we're gonna be rating somebody. I think we're gonna raid Chris. We raided Erica and Mermaid yesterday. I think we're gonna raid Chris unless somebody has another suggestion of somebody that we've never raided. I'll be open to that. But before the raid, just really quick. I do want to shout out Rise for You. This is the nonprofit that was started by our friend Brett Cross. Today is the 3rd anniversary of the shooting at Robb Elementary. That took the life of Uzziah, Brett's son. For anybody that watches these lives, y'all know Brett Cross and what he fights for every day. He's the strongest person I know. And so if you can, this is the nonprofit to support. It's Rise for You, RISE for you.net. If somebody can, let me actually type that. I'll pin that. Not approved. Okay, TikTok didn't approve it because there was a link. All right. Well, it's in Brett's link tree as well. But yeah, it's Rise, the number 4, and then the letter U.net. Make sure you're following. Do you still have the Pokemon card? Yeah. I This is Uzziah. Thank you, Caffeine. That's a focus. So yeah, I'm sure most of you are already following Brett Cross. His at is at cross333. And then nonprofit Rise for You. Anything you, did Brett just come up? I left for a minute. No, Brett hasn't come up. I'm just shouting at him out on today. He was live earlier today briefly. I don't know if he's gonna be live again. If he is, show him some love, y'all. Okay. Let's just reset for a second. And then we'll trade. I live Brett and Nikki, and they are absolutely. Y'all, do you know okay. We're gonna raid Chris G. I gotta get his at real quick. Y'all in chat for a few minutes. All right, y'all. Obviously, the end of the live, the vibes are not. I mean, listen. Sometimes things are just too important not to talk about. This live, I think went really well. I want to thank IRI for collabing. I want to thank the guests that came up, including Emmy, Quinn, and Dean, as well as all the other guests that came up to educate. And I will see y'all in Chris's live. We're going to be doing a raid, and tomorrow I'm scheduled to go live, but I might have to cancel because there's a chance I am going to be meeting Mac's parents. And so that'll be interesting. We haven't talked about it yet. Taking a nap right now, so we'll see how that goes. All right, I will see you all in Chris's live. Love you all as always, and have a great night.